Hi, I am Paula. I'm from London, England. I'm 28 years old. In fact, I turn 29 on Sunday, and I'm here at the Wembley SSE Arena to find my teammate for life. 40 players have descended upon the arena once again, but this time they're competing for my love, my attention, and I can't wait to see by the end of the week who earns my rose. I like video games, I like good food, I like James Bardolph. James! I like that guy, and I'm looking for someone that enjoys the same things as me, someone that likes to travel, someone that can hold me down when I rush the B site. I can't be doing that solo. So let's get this adventure started. Catch you in a bit.
I'm going crazy for you.
London, the big smoke. Just 9 months ago, the city played host to the first ever UK CSGO major, with Astralis taking home the crown. This weekend, the Danish stars are back, while joining them are 7 of Europe and North America's top Counter-Strike teams. It's ECS London 2019, home of the Season 7 finals. We'll begin with the group stage, live from the SSE Arena here in Wembley. And of course, you can be part of the action here on Saturday and Sunday, with tickets being available over at ecs.faceit.com. In the meantime, remember to follow along with all of the action by using the hashtag ECS7. Let us know your thoughts on the tournament, teams, and talent. But for now, it's time to throw it over to the guys and gal on the desk. It's over to Freya Spears.
That is right, Sue. We are back at the glorious SSE Arena, Wembley, for the ECS Season 7 finals. We have 8 incredible teams all battling out to lift our beautiful trophy. But of course, I'm joined by 2 equally as incredible gentlemen up here on the desk. We have Chad and we have Halvok gracing the desk today. Guys, how are you feeling?
I thoroughly enjoy starting the day with compliments.
Yeah,
so that's good. That's a good way to
Good
start the
sign.
day. But I saw the whole intro thing. It's the love. What are we doing? It's romance. What are we?
I thought this was like a thing, like a Love Island thing. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it fits in perfectly, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
think the theory was The Bachelor. That was the idea, but Love Island has come. So I think we're going to stick with that theme for now.
Do we get to vote teams off, or do they?
I don't know. I'm really excited to see what's happening with all this.
All right.
I hope so. Maybe we can tell production that we want to do that.
We can make a whole thing of it.
we get like a bouquet of
I
roses.
always
throw
wanted
them-
someone to do it like an esports bachelor. You know, I think that could
just
be
for
quite
like the
show.
chaos of it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to see how amazing everybody is on a date.
Who do you think would be
yeah.
the best? Just off the bat.
From
Who
this
would be a
event?
favourite?
I think
The
the
most
Brazilians must have something going, right?
Yeah. Like the
They've
most
got the whole
suave.
exotic vibe
What about the
them.
French guys though? It's in their
yeah.
blood, right?
I don't know.
True.
Have you been to any French events recently? The
I've
hotel
been- no,
stuff,
yeah,
never
no,
really been
that's
nice.
yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be tough.
Well, if not talking about love, we're going to look at the format for
My
this
one true
event.
love.
'Cause yes,
Yeah.
Counter-Strike is my one true love. So we're going to take a look at the format for this event. We're going to be starting off with our best of ones. We're splitting into 2 groups. We've got Group A there with the big boys, Astralis, kicking it off there. And then we're going to be going over to Group B later with Complexity, Vitality, MOBR, and North. What are you two kind of making of these groups initially?
Cool. So I think that the groups are quite even, and not in the sense of the team's quality of split, but the fact that you have the best team over in Group A, and then you've got a pretty good fight between the other 3 for that second spot. And then in Group B, I think that's more tightly. It's going to be tighter, I think, Group B to see who's going to come through that one, right? You've got Vitality, who've been looking good at Summit, MIBR with a long break, North bringing in Yugi, Complexity have been able to add a lot of excuses to their team, so that's fantastic for them too. I'm more excited to see how Group B pans out.
Yeah, well, we're going to be starting off with our Group A matchups. We're going to be starting off with our best of ones. We're going to be having 4 best of ones, as we can see by this lovely bracket here. Then the winners of those best of ones will be heading to our best of 3s later, and if they win that, they're going to be skipping the entirety of Friday. They're going to be heading straight to Saturday's semi-final. So there's a lot of weight going into these games, right?
I like a day off.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone likes a day off, and especially it's not only the fact that you just get to rest, right? Like some teams have just come, or all of them have a busy schedule, right? So, you know, just getting a day to kind of breathe out, but also actually doing extra prep, right? Knowing who you're going up against, actually being able to watch the teams that are actually vying to play versus you, that's pretty big.
And it's important for teams like Astralis and MIBR who have had a bit of time off. The less games you play, the less you have to show of what you've just been practicing and working on, which can be good and can be bad. You know, you've got to get off that ring rust if you've had a bit of a break, but then also you can hide a lot of the strategies that you've been prepping.
Well, definitely. And I mean, we kind of saw that in the online season. MIBR only came in the last 2 weeks. They completely gave up their first 3 weeks, which is actually where you qualify if you hit that grand final and if you win. They took the hard route, I think it's fair to say.
Which is an interesting choice, right? You know, when you look at the season, watching ECS from home, it actually brought the excitement back to online CS for me. And some teams, they didn't think about it very well, especially in that European side of things, right? NIP had to wait and had, I think it was Fnatic, having to win for them to even get to this position. So, you know, MIBR going through the gauntlet, having to win 2 back-to-back weeks, NIP relying on other teams for them to even get through to this stage. So a couple of people might want to reconsider their options for next season. But with the format change, I was pleasantly surprised to see how much more excitement was brought to online CS.
Yeah, no, it actually puts something on the line every time you go into the matchup, right? More so than just having, well, you're going to have to play 22 matches. You know, so match 1 to 16 are pretty Obviously, you'd like to win them all, but, you know, it's kind of hard to put yourself in the position where you're fully fired up and everything. But if you know that it's pretty much do or die from the get-go, it does put a lot more oomph, I guess, and much more
exactly. And I mean,
on it.
Every match, there has an importance here, and that is exactly the same as coming in today. We're going to have a look at our schedule now for today's matches, which I'm incredibly excited to be getting into. We're going to be starting off, it's a big match. Astralis versus Furia. I am so excited for this one because of what we've seen from Furia later.
Yeah, and also we get a completely new team. And Astralis.
Yeah, so we haven't... Well, look, they've been playing, obviously, in those Blast tournaments over the last couple of months, but they did take a bit of a break. And coming into this, there's been a lot of gasoline poured on the Astralis fire. So if they come into this tournament and they're looking flat, so many questions are going to be asked of this team at the moment. And as you mentioned, Furia, they've even had to come through the Pinnacle Cup, right? That's where they qualified to be even playing in the main tournament itself. So a long way for Furia this year. We've seen a lot of them. We had the Miners, we had that whole situation just to DreamHack Masters Dallas, so good signs, and maybe we even get both Brazilian teams going toe-to-toe at some point. That'd be nice.
I would hope so. I'd really like to see that. But we've also got NIP versus NRG as our other Group A matchup. What are you guys kind of thinking of that one?
I think that's the battle of like who can be the I guess the least or the most consistent out of probably the 2 most inconsistent teams at the entire tournament. Because I mean, both of them are a bit of an anomaly. I think if you go back to 2018, Energy was always like a reliable source of, I guess, you know, being a contender at tournaments, doing well for themselves, not necessarily burning out. That's not been the case ever since they've added Tarek. NIP, you can't really pinpoint where they are. I mean, they had to play Dallas with a stand-in, PETA, because of visa issues. So, I mean, regardless if you want to look at, like, some players, like Dennis, ever since he came back, has been starting to play, you know, a lot better. Yeah. Forrest is, again, getting a bit of a second win, I guess, to his career. Not that he never really dipped, but it's interesting. You still don't know where you have NIP simply because they haven't had any sort of, like, consistency around their team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got Dennis here at this event, thankfully. No visa issues here.
Made it past borders.
Do you think that's going to be, like, making a difference for them, coming back to their full squad?
I think the problem is, like, there's be so much frustration from Sydney, right? You would have prepped for that event, and sorry, not Sydney, Dallas, and you go there and then you're unable to even perform, right? So for the players who were there, I'd be very frustrated, and they're probably going to be a bit jet-lagged, right? Around that, they went home for maybe 12 hours and then flew here.
Not Dennis, though.
Yeah, so
he
needs to be the top fragger. But all in all, coming into this one, I talk about NIP at the moment as just like the baseline for Counter-Strike, right? They have the fundamentals down, they have the communication, the chemistry, they've got the experience, but they don't have a lot of excitement, right? So coming into this event right here, I look at their name, I'm like, it's good for them to be here, but I'm not excited about how far they can go. Because they might make it to the playoffs, they might not, but I don't see them winning the whole tournament. I hope they surprise me, but just the way it is.
Pretty much been an epitome of a quarterfinals team.
Yeah,
that's been their benchmark.
And there's no quarterfinals here, so
well, see what they're going to do. I mean, just speaking of that and their kind of road to the finals, they got through by the skin of their teeth. Yes. Originally, they won week 4 and they were through, right? But then Avanga, 2 teams dropped out of week 5. Avanga came in, and that was their tournament life kind of the line, and they just needed Avanga to not win the grand finals, and thank God they didn't. Fnatic managed to knock them out, but they literally got through by that much. It was incredibly close.
And I think that's one of the things, right? With the format change, you need to be giving yourself as many opportunities as possible, right? you saw certain teams in the European side of things like VP, they played in multiple weeks, but they didn't get anywhere. But at least, they would have been accumulating money, which in those last 2 weeks of the tournament is actually hugely important. So I know that teams probably looked at it and thought, oh, we'll just win when it comes to the end. Maybe they didn't look at the format correctly. Maybe they didn't quite understand. But either way, I think we have a pretty diverse field here. And I'm excited to see, because we've had teams resting, we've had teams roster change, we've had teams winning tournaments. There's a good mix right now. It's not, obviously, we're missing the Navis, the Answers. There's a lot of teams here in a mission. But when you have Astralis coming back for their first tournament in a long time, that should be getting the Counter-Strike world excited.
Well, definitely. And also just speaking about those... Oh, actually, no, we have got our Astralis Road to Finals graphic up. That was exactly what I was just going to bring up.
That was
They managed to get through in week 1.
That's
that was
a very
it.
Astralis way of doing it,
Yeah,
right?
they did.
That's how we remember it.
That's
Just
how it should be.
Yeah, done and dusted, easy does it.
They didn't even drop a
right
map. That was pretty insane. They literally went through, just absolutely powered everybody.
Yeah, and when you look at this, they didn't have any reason to compete in the following weeks, right? Because when you're through to the finals, you've made it as far as you need to come. You don't need to be competing for that money. Astralis, they like to get it done as quick as possible. We know they prioritize a lot of events. Coming into this, though, they're under the microscope. There's been a lot of scrutiny of their choices to skip certain events, but that's been known, right? We can dive into this more when we talk about it later, but I think the mental effects from these guys setting the bar and looking like the bee's knees of Counter-Strike to now, in a lot of people's eyes, looking like a villain for winning. It's a curious one, but for me overall, the reason that I've been so frustrated not watching them is because I want to watch the best Counter-Strike team in the world play Counter-Strike. That's all I want to do, right? And I haven't had that opportunity, so I'm a little bit disappointed.
Well, that's fair enough. And I mean, we've also got Furia up on screen now, and a totally different road to the finals from them. Week 2, they placed second. I believe they lost against Int, I think it was. And then week 3, they managed to get that win. So they were kind of there throughout basically the first 2-3 weeks of the competition, kind of lurking around, and they managed to make it on that week 3, which was, they kind of took advantage of it, I think, a little bit, because they weren't the top tier teams there. There was no MIBR, there was no Liquid that week, and they just came and they stormed through the competition, basically.
Yeah, smart way of doing it, honestly. I mean, as Chad kind of alluded to, not every team planned this out too well, to the point where they get to oh god, we got to win some, we got to win one of these online tournaments to actually qualify for the final event, and then they realize oh, now we have to go up against, MIBR, Liquid, every top dog in the scene. So if you're just taking advantage of what's being given to them, and I mean, with how they've been playing as well, you can't really write them off of the potential of actually beating some of these guys online to make it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just seeing NIP up here, week 1, they lost out, obviously, against Astralis. Didn't come back to compete until week 4, so they literally left it right until the last minute. And that week 1 second place obviously really helped them in terms of their money accumulation to make it here to the finals.
Yeah, and I think they blew it a bit right in week 5, because they just had to, I think it was they had to just win that opening game, and it may have been enough points.
Pretty much.
But when you're unable to do that, that's when your life now goes into somebody else's hands. And it was the other Swedish side, Fnatic, who were able to take down Avangard, if I remember watching correctly.
Yeah.
So they could even be in this position. So they might have to be thanking their countrymen and ex-teammates in a little way.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect encapsulation, though, of what NIP has been for us lately. Again, losing to Astralis, there's no shame in that in the first week. Obviously doing well in week 4 as well. But then you have the massive inconsistency of not being able to, again, win your opening match in the very decisive week as well, which is kind of, NIP very good, but consistently falling short. I guess that's the one thing they're consistent at as of right now.
Well, and we're moving on to NRG, another team you also said were incredibly inconsistent. Obviously, that week 1 result coming in 3rd to 4th, and then week 2, again, similar to Furia, kind of managed to capitalize on that second week, not being stacked full of dominant North American teams. Again, no MIBR, no Liquid, so they took it.
And by beating Furia, right, which is a team they just lost to in DreamHack Masters Dallas on Overpass 16-7. So it's funny how that one kind of works itself out. But this team, unfortunately, the potential of the individuals on the screen right here, we have Tarek, a previous major winner. We know Ethan and Breeze are some of the best players within North America right now, and that's big to say when you look at Liquid. Obviously, Dapp's in that in-game leadership role, and then Cirque, he can be criticized a bit for his inconsistency on the AWP. But this team, for me, aren't living up to their potential. And I hate using the word potential when talking about CS teams, but I can see it with this squad. It's just not clicking right now, and hopefully at this event, they're feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, hope so. Obviously, Tarek being the newest addition to the team, we kind of thought maybe that would bring some new life to them. Do you think potentially it could be their time to shine now?
It's additional firepower compared to Fugly, right? But again, Fugly fulfilled his role within that energy squad in an ideal way, which is why we saw them have a bit of a rise throughout 2018 to the point where that, at one point was ranked 4th in the world.
Yeah.
Tarek doesn't necessarily fulfill, all the same or doesn't tick the same boxes as Fugly. So, I mean, it's on Daps to kind of figure out how he's going to be able to utilize so much firepower that they now have on the team to the best of their ability.
Yeah, and I think that's been hurting them in their structure to the game, right? Because Daps has this team, he tries and uses the individuals to their best, capabilities, whereas maybe what they should do is try and restructure. They're going to need time off for this, and put them into a system so they can have consistency. So if Breeze doesn't have a good game, if Ethan doesn't have a good game, it's not the end of the world. They can still fall back on some strategy.
Well, speaking of time off, we've had the boys from Complexity who really, I mean, I think their second last LAN was here for the Face It Major.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, yeah. And, well, there's a little bit of an asterisk in week 1. So obviously they came second against Rogue, but then Rogue unfortunately disbanded, which meant that they forfeited their spot, and Complexity actually took it. And I spoke to Shazam, I did an interview with him just prior to their arrival here, and he was saying, I spoke to him about it in that whole situation. He said he didn't feel so bad because it was such a close grand final. He didn't feel like it was undeserved, but they still competed in that week 3, managed to get a 3rd place spot, managed to gain some more money and potentially, upset the rankings.
Well, there's a lot going on with this roster right now, and I alluded to before that they've just given us a whole bunch of excuses to make for them, right? So if we're going to be honest with this team right now, Ricky, unfortunately, he's been in the same boat as Gratisfaction from Renegades, been unable to get his visa to even practice with the team in the States. And if you're in Oceania and you're playing CS, I'll give you the hot tip, you're not playing Tier 1 Counter-Strike, right? They've just added in a kid who has never even played a LAN of any level.
This is his first LAN.
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
He's 15!
Yep.
He's 15!
I mean, he's trial by fire, right?
Yeah, okay. Sink or swim right now. Unfortunate for that kid right there. Def has taken over the in-game leadership role because Stan, apparently in the interview that Def did, isn't too keen with working with others in coaching positions, I believe. So yeah, there's been a lot of chopping and changing. So I can go on. The asterisk there applies to more than one situation for this team in my mind.
Yeah, well, definitely. And obviously moving on to French side, Vitality. I'm incredibly excited to see these guys because there have been some pretty hot results recently. We're coming into week 1, they didn't compete. Week 2, managed to get 2nd place against North. And then week 3, they managed to take the win against Optic, which secured their spot in the last week of qualifying through that grand final.
Yeah, no, for Vitality, it's been kind of a slow rise, I guess. But now that they've finally arrived, they're seeing pretty much what kind of potential they have as a team. And again, I know you hate potential, Chad, but I think it has to be said when you have a player like ZywOo on that squad.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, one of the things I noticed, though, is that they look like they got found out a little bit in their problem solving against Furia, right? Their mid-rounds looked relatively flat, but one thing that doesn't look flat is RPK's tan, because I need to know where he's been going, because I need some of that.
He's looking bronzed.
He's looking real
I mean, he was in LA with me, and there was no sun at that point.
Raining, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know where he's gone off to.
Maybe he got spray tan. A little bit of looking good for the cameras,
You were in Dallas. Well, what kind of weather did they have?
I didn't go outside in Dallas. It was too muggy.
The French did spend a lot of time playing football, actually, outside in the backyard of Summit. So
instead of practicing, seems like. So,
no, they didn't need to. They strolled through the event, won that easily, beating ENCE to the best of 3, beating Liquid in a best of 3. So, if football is what takes them, to I guess peak performance, they should be pretty good coming into
Aren't they
London.
Ranked 4th in the world right now?
Yeah, that's correct.
And ZywOo was the highest rated player from Dallas. I didn't check the stats actually after the final, but I'm pretty sure going into the grand final,
same for Summit
which he wasn't playing, and he was. So yeah, ZywOo is a fantastic thing to be watching here, regardless of how this team does.
Yeah. Well, moving on to our penultimate team in Group B, we have MIBR. Obviously, we were saying earlier, really left it till the last minute, had to win both week 4 and 5 at the expense of Liquid, unfortunately, who are now world number ones, not coming into this event.
Well, you can't argue with 100% success rate.
Yeah, no, it's hard, right?
So I'm really excited to see MIBR. I have a very good feeling that this team is going to be back in its stride. Now, there are issues when you go from not playing for an extended period of time and then coming in the opening game being a best of 1, but I have a really good feeling that they've worked out the dynamic of this team has to be focused around Coldzera, Fallen, and Fur, and then unfortunately for Phelps, he has to be a support player along the sides of Taco, right? I think that is quite key, because when this team has been at its best, those 3 individuals there. And one of the coolest things is this is one of the very few teams in the world who have had success at pushing Astralis previously. So seeing them here in this tournament, getting to go toe-to-toe, hopefully with Astralis, depending on how the groups pan out, has me very excited, because I want to see how these teams have both come out after their holiday. Well, there hasn't been holidays, after their break of refocusing, readdressing their map pools, and hopefully adding a few more things to their strat books.
Yeah, I think that was actually very much needed, because we saw, a pretty dreadful stretch of time really for MIBR, where they literally were going to anything that would just host a Counter-Strike tournament. I mean, pretty much could have invited it to your local, LAN cafe.
It would have been
They would show up. Yeah, exactly. And that didn't really, give them the best of results. Now they've actually had some time off again, try to figure out how they're going to utilize Phelps within the team and actually what they need to focus on. I think that we've already seen the results. I mean, just winning the 2 last weeks of the ECS tournaments is kind of telling of that. And the fact that we're seeing a bit of a resurgence from coldzera actually being, the guy who was voted best player in the world twice, two times running. So I think that's, all promising signs for MIBR. I think they might be the hottest team coming into this, which sounds weird considering they have had a bit of a break.
Yeah, well, we're going to move on to our final team in Group B. It is North, now with a new Yugi coming into the roster instead of Cadian. Week 1, not a very great result from them. 5th to 8th, and Week 2, totally changed it. First place, that's it. Secured their spot.
All you need. And yeah, I mean, this team, again, a lot of question marks surrounding it. I still think this is early days, but they're one lineup change from being a really good squad. But I do think there's a lot of positives to be taken from this. While I didn't like the I guess in-game leading change of Valde stepping down from pretty much being the hard carry of that team to just trying to be the captain, I do like seeing the fact that we're seeing AZ actually playing Counter-Strike the way we know he can. Same thing goes for Kirby as well. For the last couple of weeks, been playing actually pretty solidly, more towards what he did in Astralis.
That Valde change is one that is going to take a while, but I think one of the scenes that I have from talking to Valde as an individual is that he has leadership qualities, right? So people will be looking at him and having respect for him, and I think that this is a good step because Danish CS, no disrespect to the previous in-game leaders that were around, MSL is doing a lot with Optic right now. I don't know what's going to happen with Snappy, but they did a lot of groundwork. I think Valde gets to learn from all those people and now take that with him and hopefully have a good crack with this North unit.
Well, exactly. But we are going to be moving on to Group A first. So let's have a closer look at Group A.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, hello there.
So, of course, I'm looking for a great player. Individually has to be really great.
I think look for humor and chemistry.
A teammate should be lovable, enjoyable, and he could be good looking. I mean, it's not like the most essential thing, but it could be nice.
Just like gets me anything I want. Winning. Hopefully they're good. That's like a perk too.
Be a good guy, like for the team. Yeah, I can think a lot of things, but I'm not gonna say it.
Sometimes people get carried away. Sometimes it gets a little crazy.
I think positive energy.
Well, there we have it. That was Group 1, and it was quite heartfelt, that was very nice to see.
I think I know who actually would, who I'd who I would like to go on a date with actually out of those.
Okay.
I think he would easily be the most fun date.
Were they talking about dates or were they talking about a potential teammate?
I mean, I don't care. Like, I'll take Dupree as a teammate as well.
I just want a teamate who doesn't leave the bomb at spawn.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's all I want.
What you want?
It's pretty simple, and I feel like I'm asking a lot. I don't know if Henry leaves the bomb at spawn. I'm going to have to investigate.
Henry's not keen on running it with it himself, at least.
All right. Well, as long as you're passing it to someone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Dupree, we've got Astralis coming up first for our first matchup. And obviously this is going to be a very exciting one. They've been at the Blast tournaments, but coming into this, kind of a fresh face,
Okay, so there's a lot of things to touch on here, and I'm not quite sure where to start exactly, but here's the big thing. Astralis right now have been under a lot of scrutiny, right? And this is for a bunch of different reasons, all culminating in the fact that we haven't got to see them play Counter-Strike. And if I'm a fan, if I'm sitting at home and I want to watch the team who have elevated the bar of CS, I want to be doing that as often as possible, right? Because they changed the way that we appreciated the game. They changed the way that we understood it could be played. That they basically started using utility and showing us the way that grenades can be used as like a tactical nuke. They've done a lot, right? And coming into this event right here, their whole approach, and we've known about this for a long time, they take time off. This just feels like an extended break because of the scrutiny around the other tournaments that they did attend. But all in all, when they do take time off, they come off, and this is why we have, a team who just was the #1 for the entirety of the year. So I'm excited to see where they're at. I'm excited to see if they've readdressed some of the issues were cropping up in their map pool. And I just want to get the Astralis that we all know and love playing some CS.
I think that's the key point that really you touched on. The fact that because when we talk about eras and we look at past teams that have been dominant in the in the CS world, they all end because their map pool becomes basically fragile.
Yeah.
And that's oftentimes because they don't give themselves the actual time to redevelop, to evolve, their maps when they get figured out. When literally, if they've been a #1 target for so long, teams eventually will find something that's going to work against them. I think Astralis are probably one of the teams that are best equipped to actually be able to kind of revitalize themselves, even though if they do play a very methodical way of Counter-Strike. So I think like them actually going on a bit of a break like this is not going to be necessarily bad at all. I think they could be a big positive for them. Again, very little for opponents to scout on them, which is usually their biggest positive, right? Going up against Astralis, you know you're going to have an monumentous task to actually beat them, but at least you have data to work off of. Now you don't.
And this team, the core of it, have won 3 different ECS finals before.
Yes, yeah.
Which is fantastic. I think
back-to-back champions.
Device was, yes, that's an important one too. So they're here to defend their 3rd title in a row. And Device has been the MVP at all 3 of the ones that they've previously won.
He likes it here.
So
really
he's got a
does.
good feeling about the ECS
Well, yeah, the
tournaments.
past last year, every time we were on the stage, Astralis lifted the trophy, which is pretty incredible. And at Dallas, lifted the trophy
nice.
again, which is, I mean, it's a nice record to come in with.
Sure.
But a team that doesn't have that record quite yet, we're going to be heading and seeing a little bit of Furia, their first opponent, which is going to be an exciting time because we've seen a rise in form, right? Dallas being the time for them to somewhat shine, I think.
It feels like they were a sleeper, but we knew they were there. We were just waiting for them to get an opportunity to play with the big boys. And then as soon as they went over to Dallas, and people looked at it as an upset. But from the minors, from when I was seeing them compete there, I could see that they had this depth on their T sides, all these extra layers on strats, or this quirky play style that filled me with confidence that these guys could be a threat.
To me, I'm not quite as sold as you might have been. Again, yes, they did take full opportunity of, full grasp of the opportunity they were given in Dallas by beating some pretty significant teams. I mean, Fnatic, Vitality, to name a few in best-of-3 series, even taking a map off of ENCE, right? So it's not like they've, not, I guess, been impressive in that sense. But I mean, when you say quirky, traits on their T side, to me that feels gimmicky. That feels like something that better teams will know how to deal with. I mean, if you're going up against Astralis, I don't think necessarily being extremely aggressive on your CT side, something that might disrupt a team like Vitality, for instance, is going to do much to really rattle Danes.
In a best-of-1, anything is possible, but I agree with you, right? When you look at this team and their approach to the game, it's not necessarily the most consistent. It's enough to throw teams off, and this is why now they've just stepped into the big boy leagues, right? They just played at Dallas, they're going to play here, then they have to fly around the world continuously for different tournaments. They're going to be in Cologne, so this next stretch is very important to see the development of this team because they're going to have to adjust on the fly, they're going to have to be adding depth, they're going to have to be constantly learning, and now they're going to have the pressure and the performance, I guess, hindering, I don't want to say capabilities, but that's kind of the way of travel, right? That's what it does. You're going to be on the plane all the time, you're in a hotel, you're in a different environment. Those are things which take a while to come to terms with, so if they can do that quickly and show even a little bit of form that they did in Dallas, it's still positive signs for this team in my mind.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to be a test for them. Just speaking of Vinny quickly, I spoke to him before they came here to the finals, and I said, the rise in a Brazilian team in the Brazilian scene, are you kind of hoping to be the best in Brazil? And he goes, no, I'm hoping to be the best in the world.
Oh, okay.
You like that mindset. You like that mindset.
Setting the bar very low.
Right?
But to be fair, I mean, I think that's a healthy way to look at it. You don't want to become the farmer. Like, if your goal is to become the farmer team from MIBR, you're doing it wrong.
Yes.
You can't go into like, I'm going to, one day play for MIBR. That can't be your goal. You have to be like, I'm going to play for the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you're from.
I think some of the cool things, though, that they have done, and it's idea-based, right? It's not just the scrimmy, faster style, but it's some of their thoughts on, like, taking map territory. They're doing things that are outside of the meta right now, but they're still good ideas. There was a round that we broke down on Overpass where 3 of them took long, right? And on the T side, instead of going and trying to, play front site and fight bathrooms and CT, they all just went to take over bank. And that is not a lot to think about, really, when I just state it like that, but most teams will go for the alternative option and get caught in a crossfire. These guys tried something different, didn't work out, but it's still they're thinking, a little bit differently to the current meta or currently what most teams would do. So some of those ideas actually, I think, will seep on through to other teams because they are good ideas.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that actually happen quite a bit with new teams coming into the fray and actually, attending more and more of these Tier 1 tournaments is the fact that they'll have new ideas. that's kind of what they've been working with online. They need to find new things to actually beat the teams that are potentially better, I guess, either versatile in them, like through experience, or just having better individual players. Like, we need to find a workaround for that. And I think what Furia is, I guess, bringing to the table in that sense is really fun. I think also the fact that they're early adapters of pretty much any changes that comes into the game. I mean, Nvidia's been using the Krieg for about God knows how long now. You know, before you had price reductions and all that coming into the fight. Like, they've been on about actually trying to figure out new ways how to play Counter-Strike. Something with goes with actually, you know, looking at a new map like Vertigo. They have been happy to play it from the get-go. They have actually put in time and put in a lot of work on it to the point where, like, they're going to have an edge on other teams who are, I guess, a little bit more nonchalant about it.
Well, and of course, if you're watching on Twitch, and if you're already subscribed to us on Twitch, you will have access to our Premium Pass, which gives you exclusive 10-player POVs, you get interactive minimap, and you get loads of exclusive stats. So, I mean, if you're not subscribed already, I've had a little look at it, and it looks pretty great. I'm a massive fan of it. Have you guys
I haven't checked it out yet. Maybe that's something that we can do in the game's
You can also cheer your favorite player. So you can use bits to cheer, and it will appear on the minimap. So you can see who's the most popular in the server, which I really like. So yeah, if you haven't already got access to that, do that ahead of the game, and you'll get basically the best in-game experience you could ask for. But we're going to be moving straight on to the map video. Guys,
Wonderful.
Down there in the booth are ready. What are you guys expecting from this?
I don't think that we will see Vertigo, even though it would be really cool.
That'd
I don't
be
think.
I would hope. Yeah, I would hope for it. But again, I don't think Astralis wants to risk a best of one versus Furia on Vertigo.
Oh, hold up. These must all be bans because it is a best of one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that like a nuke is a possibility because Furia, they don't mind it.
Yeah.
Astralis obviously don't mind the map with their record that they used to have. So it's still in the pool right now.
I don't think there's any reason for Astralis to not go with Nuke. I mean, I mean, Furia's track record, 17-2. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But then again, look at who they've been playing. And it hasn't been the greatest of opposition. A lot of like online games, you know, versus North American teams that they should be beating pretty much regardless of map. So, I mean, if you're Astralis, you're not going to fear Furia on this map. And I'm actually really surprised that we saw Furia being the ones who banned out Overpass. I thought that would be actually a pretty okay spot for them to take on Astralis. Because Astralis, we talked about it, their map pool has been a little bit shaky towards the end of their area, if you want to call it, or if you want to say that it's over already. So yeah, I thought they would have actually had a decent chance of actually not necessarily pulling an upset, but making it very competitive. I think Nuke is going to be rough.
This is just a curious one, right? Because we've seen what Furia have, and they haven't had a lot of time to actually readdress or add a lot into how they're going to approach that map. So their CT side, their rotations were quite poor. It was relatively weak. Their T sides, however, were quick, and they were exploiting ramp a lot. But Astralis know that. Astralis have watched that. Astralis should be prepared for that. And in the time Astralis have had off, I would assume that they've addressed some things on their nuke, considering they lost it to Ents at the last Blast event. So coming into this, Furia are now walking into the unknown, and they're going to rely heavily on playing their own game plan here to even make a dent in Astralis.
Well, it's time to get into our predictions. Do you think Furia are able to do it, Chad? What are you going to say?
I'm just going to stick with Astralis. I feel it's a safe bet. I know we haven't seen them in a
bold.
long time. I know, right? But I think that, you know, Furia do have a very good chance of getting out of this group. I just think it's probably not going to be by beating Astralis.
Yeah. What about you?
I think just pretty fair in his assessment of how things are going to pan out. I think this is going to be a bit of a rude awakening for a lot of Furia hopefuls in that sense. I think they're going to get to see what happens when you go up against a true tier 1 team on a map like Nuke.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go exactly the same. I'm going to be sticking with the boys in red, as Smick said earlier, Astralis. And we got Sliggy on here, our lovely observer out there. He's also going with Astralis. So red across the board,
He's
really.
going to love Nuke.
Yes.
He's in for a great time.
I think he likes Vertigo less. So maybe now, you know, you
have two evils.
Prioritize something else. So that's not too bad. Maybe he doesn't hate Nuke as much these days.
Well, we're going to take a look at what you guys at home are thinking with our Pinnacle user predictions. See if you're agreeing with us. Actually, quite split. I guess we've got the fan bases going on here. 56% for Astralis.
Yeah, I guess recently Astralis probably haven't garnered a lot of
They probably lost
fans.
a lot of fans recently. So, and Furia, the underdog story, and everybody loves an underdog story.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd love for them to be competitive in this matchup, you know, but I guess the pessimist in me is going to keep that at bay.
Yikes.
Yes, definitely. And we're also going to move on to our odds brought to you by Pinnacle. Let's take a look. If they're kind of agreeing with us, so very heavily favoured.
They're more on our side.
Yeah, very much agreeing with us there, but I think that's kind of expected, right? It is a best of one. So.
If we want to be like, we're going into the unknown right now because we haven't seen Astralis in a while. So what we're doing is we're less resting on the laurels that they are still a shadow of the team that they once were, and of course they're not just going to forget how they play Counter-Strike. And Furia here, they have to hope that they can come out with all of their individuals, which is something I know that they really back in to show up in spades, because this is a completely different beast. You know, if you look at these two teams, you've got Astralis Astralis, they're like my dad. They have everything in their shed. You know, they've even got the leaf blower. It's unnecessary, but they've got it, right? Whereas Furia, they've just started their shed. Theirs is like it's just a toolbox at this point, right? They've just got a couple of screwdrivers and a hammer in there. Yeah. So you compare like the two teams and what's in their arsenal, experience, all these different bits and pieces. It shouldn't even be, well, it could be close, the best of one. But when you compare the two teams on what they have in their back pocket, that's not even close.
Well, exactly. I mean, is there anything you think Furia could kind of bring out that will potentially bring some upsets to Astralis?
I guess it would be the quick pace, but again,
yeah,
a team like Astralis is known for being very good at adapting, mid-game. They don't necessarily need to have all the prep in the world to be able to deal with what's being thrown at them. That's been one of their strengths. I think if you're going to take a book out of, Furia's own side, they were talking in recent interviews about how they felt like individually they were on the levels of the very best teams in the world. I'm not quite sure if I agree with that, but if you want to be follow that mantra, then yeah, they're going to have to rely on individuals. It's going to have to be a big game coming out of Yuri, I think specifically, and same with Kizarado.
Yeah, one of their stat lines from DreamHack Masters was their T-side multi-kills, and that comes off of being a snowbally team, right? If you have a quick pace and you find a good timing, you're going to catch a seat. The first CT probably with his, nade out or something. Yep. The second one was covering another position, so you might get a free chance on him as well. So that's something that I noticed, and if they can do that, right, if they get to start on the T-side in this matchup right here, and they can grab the pistol round, win the first gun round, Astralis, maybe go for a force buy, they lose that. If they can get up to like a really big lead or like a sizable lead, then there's a chance for them to keep the pressure on Astralis, and that is one way into the game. I think it's through that pace. It's not going to be through late rounds. It's not going to be through clutches. It's not going to be grinding out rounds, because that's all things that Astralis do well. These guys here have to rely on getting a big haul, I think, on their T side, and then just being able to close out on that CT side.
How often do you say that if they can get to start on the T side of Nuke?
Yeah, not very often. Probably not ever. I don't know. I don't know the last time I said that. I wonder if they've done their meditation yet. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but when they sitting down waiting to start a game, the coach is like pacing back and forth, and I don't know what he's saying, but they all sit there, hands off the keyboard, eyes closed,
and
like
finding
meditation.
their inner peace.
Yeah, going zen.
I like that. Different approach. I mean, this kind of gives me throwbacks to ECS Season 6. We saw a lot of Nuke coming out in Best of Ones, which is a little bit... I mean, it wasn't like... It was kind of the equivalent of Vertigo-ish back then, right? I mean, if we saw Vertigo in a Best of One, that would be pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
It used to be taboo, right? Like Nuke, everyone was steering clear of. I think Astralis did a good job of keeping people away from it.
Yeah.
But now, I'm watching a lot of teams like FaZe picking it up, Fnatic, teams who you wouldn't normally associate with being too strat-heavy. They've worked out ways to turn Yard into an aim map, instead of just a passage to force rotations.
I think it's also a part of, like, because we used to see so many specialist teams on the map before, that's why I saw, everyone else shy away from it, but pretty much because the Astralis were so dominant, nobody can really compete with them on that map. It left a massive, pretty much a massive gap for everyone else to actually, expand their map pool. Doesn't necessarily have to be Astralis, but you're also going to compete against other teams who are not going to be as well versed on Nuke. So as long as you have an upper hand of, against everyone else, that's still going to be beneficial for you. And I think that's also why we're seeing more and more teams actually go towards it and actually put in time on it. And I think more and more players actually, the more you play it, I think it's easier to love Nuke the more you play it. Once you just dive into it, it's terrifying. A lot of things need to go right for you to have an enjoyable experience on it.
Yeah.
But if you've played it quite a bit, I think it's one of the most fun maps to play.
I think the same could be said for Vertigo, hopefully, if we see some teams pick that up and start playing it.
We've played it a fair
bit.
bit. I'm actually quite enjoying it.
Yeah, we
gigged
out. We played a lot of matchmaking on it. Me, Henry, Halvor, and some more Norwegians. But it's a bit of fun, and maybe we'll see it in this tournament. We didn't see it all.
I'm crossing my fingers. I think we will at least see once showing it.
Reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, in a best of 3, right? Maybe it will slip through.
Yeah.
I'd quite like to see
someone pick it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Are you double daring them?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I want in a Counter-Strike player. Someone who wants to play Vertigo. There you go. That's all I got for them.
Yeah, don't drop the bomber spawn and Vertigo.
Yeah, that's simple. Yeah. It's simple. With these boys here on the screen, right, let's be honest. I'm going to say this. It's coming out. If they don't win this tournament, we got to really start questioning what's going on.
Really?
Yeah.
That early?
Yeah. I'm putting the pressure on them, because if you're going to skip tournaments and you're going to be preparing for tournaments, the ones that you go to, you have to win. And that's what they were doing before, right? That's why they've won ECS 2 times in a row. That's why they've won EPL 2 times in a row. That's why they've won the last 2 majors.
I mean, you say that, but even when they were attending like all these blast tournaments towards the end of it, they weren't winning them.
Exactly. That's my point.
Well, that's then they took a break, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're going back to fixing it.
If the break helps and now they win the tournaments again, we're back on track.
Well, but I think even if they manage to get a top, if they get to a finals here, I think they can live with that as a bit of a the starter, I guess, in that sense, and then take it from there. Again, if this becomes a continuous trend where they can't, win tournaments anymore, then obviously you have a bit of an issue. But I think we could get them a little bit of leeway. But
you're giving them more leeway than me.
Yeah,
I'm very stern.
I'm not too worried about Astralis.
You got expectations. Yeah, well, we're going to be seeing exactly what is going to be going down with the Astralis boys as we are ready to throw it over to match 1. James and Dan, take it away.
Cheers, boss. Furia are going to win this one. Furia are going to win, man. I'm telling you, Furia are going to win. It's a perfect storm, okay? It's the best of one. They've got solid executes on a T side, and the best of one, I think it's going to be harder to adjust. You've got less time to do it. Furia are going to win. Simple as that.
I got to say, I've been pulling for them pretty hard on the Twitter hype train for a while now. Obviously, we got to see them through the season, so we knew, the damage was coming at some point. Obviously, in Dallas.
It's coming right now.
That's when we saw it.
Now it's coming.
However, one of the things that's really interesting, as you say, they have a lot of strats. They've got a lot of tech, as they would say in the fighting game community, lots of really cool gimmicks and stuff on Nuke. But what we saw in Dallas is that they struggled against the really consistent teams like Team Liquid when it came to actually having a good CT side. And so if they can't have a good CT side on Nuke, James, it's going to be tough.
I think like stylistically, Team Liquid is a bad matchup for them just because of the nature of the individuals on that team and the firepower. Obviously, Astralis is arguably the best team in the world, but I'm telling you, man, it's a perfect storm, and Furia are going to win, and they're going to start on the T side. One thing I really enjoyed in the season with Furia was just how efficient they were at taking area on the T side. Nuke will be an interesting challenge, obviously, because it's Nuke, so it'll be a great first test for them. But I'm telling you, Dan, they're going to win. You can see it already. Art's been dropped to P250. He's got Kevlar. He's been made the raid boss. He's got that extra range, instant headshot, and a great start on Nuke.
Yes, and I can't find anything towards main, but actually been coming in from the window there. Nice one from Zipex to kick things off there for Astralis. Even up the numbers, but in comes the push from Ramp, and Zipex will spot that one. So Yuri will go down, and here is the rotation. Speaking of going down, Glaive is well and truly in position there by decontamination, and he's just slowing him down. He'll take a dink, and that'll mean that he'll have to fall back, but you can see he's just trying to fire a shot off here or there, just slow down this T-side as much as possible. Vinny, though, finding the back of Magisk. That's quite annoying there for Magisk. And maybe there's a chance here for Furia after all.
Yeah, that P250 will come in handy with the increased armor penetration as well. So even if you're not getting the headshot in a situation like that, it will make a hell of a difference. A Glock can take up to 7 shots to kill somebody if you don't find a headshot. It can be quite a pain. So the bomb's been planted on the A bomb side. There's a man advantage for Astralis. For Furia. Well, there was one, not anymore. They've got a high ground, which is a problem for Furia. And then the 2 versus 2, there's plenty of variance to be had in the pistol round, but it won't be had for Furia. They start off very well on Nuke. Taking the pistol round, they won't retrieve the P250, but that's not the worst thing in the world. 1 round in the bag. Now, you do wonder, with Astralis' absence from the scene, if there is any ring rust, so to speak. And that's part of why I think it's a perfect storm. I'm sure they've been practicing in their time off, but there's nothing like a real live tournament. I know these guys are very fond of the ECS finals as well. Often got good support here once the crowd are in. So they won't want to start off this one badly. Now, I spoke about Furia's executes. Art is asking some questions around this event. Not showing to the Hut player, it seems, just yet. Creeping, and there's Dupree taken out. So far, so good. There are 2 scouts to deal with here, but Art has taken a lot of issues away. Choke point's been smoked off, so looking like a good anti-force buy.
Yeah, it's a spot where Astralis are going to have to save what they have, bring it into the next round, in which they will be at full eco, so it's not the worst spot in the world for them. But Furia know what they have now, so in knowing that they have these 2 scouts, it's definitely going to encourage Furia to go for perhaps a similar round where they just focus on the more close quarters engagements. You don't want to test outside too much when there's a couple of scouts running around, unless you have the utility to shut those scouts down, which they will have. So there is this element of mind games now where Furia know what Astralis have, and Astralis know that Furia know what they have. So, and in knowing that, you can understand, okay, if they've got a couple of scouts, these are the best spots where you can get the most value out of scouts. So should we not go there? Will they instead stack where maybe scouts would perform very poorly, like on the upper bomb site, stuff like that. I don't know if we're going to see anything too complicated here from Furia, except just use a utility, get all the bodies in one place. You've got the Mag 10s. There's no need to overcomplicate matters. I would like to see them go outside regardless. Just with the smokes, get down towards Secret. I think that's a pretty effective way to play the anti-eco. You can take control over control. The vents, force rotations. Furia are a master of forcing out your rotations on this map.
Furia are 89% in 19 maps of Nuke in the last 3 months. Of course, those are not mostly against Astralis, so you'll have to bear that in mind. 4 maps. 75% for Astralis. But again, I think there's a pitch assault in both directions there. So a 2 scouts on Nuke is an interesting one, but I don't think we're going to see almost any action from them in this situation. And this is a weird spot because the bomb's being planted on B. Now, you know there are MAC-10s on the go. You don't really want to give up too much bonus money to your opponent, especially when they've had a good start and they've got a clean sheet, because it just means more pressure later on. But that's a good beginning with the shot from Zipex, so he'll get an upgrade. That's definitely a save for him as far as I'm concerned. So there's 1 player lost to the MAC-10. If it's just the one, then that won't be too shabby. Magis may choose to take a risk and try and pick up another weapon. Create some space. Zipex will create some space. In the meantime, Magis will try and creep and get an AK, a Krieg. So 2 rifles out of this would be fantastic for Astralis, and they might just be able to hold on to this, or maybe not. Just the one then, and there is some bonus money for Furia with those SMGs. So again, they got more mileage out of it, but now comes the buy time.
Yeah, they found the perfect opening there, and actually something that Furia did, which has been, I think, difficult for teams to deal with, is, and they may actually shift the meta somewhat, is just how heavy the pressure is from Furia towards the ramp areas, where, as I think Chad mentioned on the desk, you know, a lot of teams are taking the outside with more focus these days, more death matching out there, more pressure, and ramp is often just going to have 1 player there. So Furia have been one of the first teams to really truly exploit that, but they still have the SMGs here. They'll go quickly outside. We see the wall of smokes almost immediately here. I don't know if Astralis already saw it, but there's a gap. There's no second smoke there. For Secret, they see the bomb, they get the kill, and now Glaive is watching for it. This is a disastrous, James. What happened?
What in the blazes is this? Well, again, I think you can, even though this looks terrible, on the plus side, it's better it happens in round 4 than it happens in round 14 or round 24. So if you're going to make a colossal mistake like that, just get the nerves out of the way, get the mistakes out of the way now, and then you've got plenty of time to recover. So don't have to focus on it too much if you are the players on the server. Okay, there's going to be a big duel. Magis up close. He's got a helmet, actually, so that's not a favourable engagement for Art up close to the MAC-10, but they've got a numbers game to abuse. Into the A bomb site, lining up for Magis. He's forced to reload. There will be no punish just yet. Dupree's trying to help. And now it's just down to Dupree. 1 versus 2, they're both low. Plenty of time. It's all about these duels. Yuri's got to find a headshot here, surely. Dupree teasing, jiggling, and there's the first round for Astralis. However, with only 1 player surviving, this could be a very brittle situation for them. And as you can see, they're definitely going to have a worse buy than Furia.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect, and I wonder if that might encourage Furia to go outside. When you feel like you don't have to worry about the AWP, if you feel like there's a world where they can't possibly have enough money for that, obviously outside becomes a spot where you can kind of leverage the advantage that, you know, you have these Kriegs, you know, you have this AWP on Art. Art is pretty incredible at getting the opening kills as well. He's really explosive. They have some cool boosts here we may see around these boxes. I think I saw a run boost onto the T-Red container as well, with Arts being the one flung forwards, which doesn't always go so well. But again, credit to Furia for constantly trying to innovate and push the envelope. And they're a team full of personality, and they absolutely have their own identity. It's another reason why people just love watching them at this point.
I think this is the best, aside from planting the bomb, that was the best way to lose a round for a T side. At least in this stage of the game. Zipex with plenty of sound cues, his teammates will need to reposition. Playing close to the UMP, trying to get the most out of it. Glaive potentially doing the same. Trying to catch Furia while they execute into the B bomb site. 1 for 1. May favour Furia. They've got a minute on the clock, waiting for the smokes to go. Kind of reminds me of Overpass sometimes when the B site is split in 2 by smokes around the pillar, and then the T side, they're so close, but they're just waiting for them to go to clear out the CT positions. Again, plenty of time, and there's still some more utility. Yuri's got another smoke grenade, but there's 2 for Glaive, getting maximum value from this UMP. How on earth has he got 3 unanswered frags? That is completely ridiculous. That's a great hold from Astralis. That is you shouldn't be able to get 3 frags of UMP and not get traded. That is insane.
Yeah, they found some really good timings there. You can see Furia, I think, we're really trying to sweat out Astralis. It's a great move. You know, they have this really fast pace. They take the lower bomb side. Then they slow their roll in a pretty significant way and just start pausing. And when you do that, you're trying to find a spot where the CTs will overextend because they'll sort of be taken for surprise by that change of pace. But speaking of which, it seems like we'll continue to have these fast beginnings even when Furia are on a pistol save. 4 players towards this round position. Zipex is there pretty much alone, although support is quickly down the ladder and towards the ramp position. So Zipex and Magis will clean this one up pretty effectively. Bomb has been planted, which was always the plan.
Ninja plants.
And I think they can be pretty oh my, what the hell is this? Oh man, that was...
I respect that.
That is pretty amazing, James.
That is
4
a Bardoff level knife kill.
Yeah, 4 players appeared on his screen and not one of them saw him. How does that happen?
I don't think I've ever said that before, but that is...
That was incredible.
A professional player has met my level of knife kills. I respect that.
That is incredible.
I respect that. That could be some really important bonus money for the team if that allows them to pick up an AWP should they want one. They don't on this occasion, but maybe it gives them the extra piece of utility. Who knows? We'll see how this is looking to play out. Will it be a fast execute in towards the A site? They seem to have pretty forward spawns. Keisarato's got the HE and he's in front of everybody else, so that's surely going to be going towards a squeaky door, which is a standard part of the start of a round for a lot of teams these days on Nuke, whether they go into A or not. As you can see, they threaten the execute, and this forces the CTs to throw a lot more utility inside the A bomb site with the smoke towards main, but they are focusing on the outside Furia. Maybe there won't be a gap on this occasion with their smoke grenades. They've got one into the main position pretty quickly, and they're looking to wrap to the outside, but again, Astralis are just coming in with these frags.
Yeah, very annoying indeed, and Furia have Able J trying to make his way up towards Heaven, and there is, I believe, Glaive in the window position, so this is pretty awkward as players all over the place. Furia not really finding the frags that they needed to. Astralis finding the gaps in Furia's push to sneak up on them, and that shouldn't really be happening. So Furia really losing a lot of momentum here. Off the back of those 3 initial rounds where Furia looked amazing, they've struggled to find their footing after that 4th round where they managed to lose by the slimmest of margins. I think it's a 1v1 situation, and they've lost. It feels like they're kind of searching pretty desperately at this point. Okay, what kind of round opening is going to give us the most advantages? They've tried a lot of outside recently, a lot of fast pace.
It seems that Astralis are positionally 2 steps ahead of them. If you look at the B bomb site when there were 3 UMP kills for Glaive, I think it was, and the rifle rounds as well, they just seem to be ready for everything at the moment from Furia. So while they can catch other teams off guard with some of their T executes, which I've referred to, Astralis are appearing to be, and obviously expected to be, a tougher test. Vinny has taken Magis down on the ramp, but there is Zipex here as well, looking to maybe get a cheeky kill and then fall back to a safer position. He is a numbers game, but he was maybe he went to the well a bit too much there. That was a good play from Furia positionally. They had almost 4 people facing him at the same time, so he was almost guaranteed to get traded. So the rest of Astralis will have to try and hold things down now. Bomb plant looking quite reasonable at this point. Only 1 bullet required. Case right at 24 HP, but he survives for now. Astralis still with a man advantage, but that won't last very long.
Okay, so Rat has actually collected the AWP. The flick is not going to be landing anytime soon, as it's down to Yuri in the 1 versus 2, but Yuri is more than capable for this one. Pretty expected position. Will Astralis be able to attack this as 2, or will Yuri be able to split them up? That's the name of the game, and he can't get it done. Glaive is having a great game so far. That's an important frag, and that will be the defuse as well. Furia coming closer in this round than some of the previous ones, but it's still not looking all that great for them. And I feel as though against the likes of Astralis, you know, Furia, it's the T side that they're known for. Furia have incredible T sides. That's what they do. And on Nuke, they've got lots of cool stuff that, cool timings, cool maneuvers around the map that can kind of catch you off guard in the current meta. And they have quirky plays as well and personality to throw into the mix there as well. And it can often get a lot of rounds on their T side against teams that aren't quite as experienced on Nuke. But against Astralis, James, you can see they're so steady. And if Furia don't get a good portion of T rounds, I don't know if I fancy their chances on their CT side to replicate Astralis' performance, that is.
Since the bye round for both squads, it's pretty much been 5 rounds in a row for Astralis. And when you look at momentum in a half of Counter-Strike, you pretty much have to start at the first bye round. So in that respect, it's all Astralis. AWP and 4 Orgs, 5 scopes for the Danish squad. Trying to deter a push into the A bomb site, but Vinny will get a cheeky frag. I guess there was a flashbang up top and Magis was stuck and he was blind. The executes will continue for Furia. Can they be as strong against Astralis as they have been in the past versus other teams? Glaive looking for 2. This time he'll be denied and Furia are all over the A bomb sites.
So this is looking promising here for Furia. The bomb, though, is outside lobby, so that might be an issue. Someone's got to go back and get that. The closest man is Art with the AWP, and you can see he is worried about any potential flanks, which really goes to show they don't really have full information as to where the CTs will be coming from. However, Astralis are opting to play this one very safe, and without knowledge of exactly where the bomb is going, they have this setup where Device is watching outside, Zipex obviously at the top of the ladder, and there is a pot flash that Device can throw should Zipex want to peek upper, but he'll likely wait for the sound cues first to do so, because indeed, we can see Vinny here. He's holding the angle already. Sound cues will be heard. The bomb plant is heard. There's the pot flash. How much can Zipex get? Oh, nothing. That's not what you wanted.
The idea was nice, though. I wonder how much of the flashbang they saw. I'll definitely be watching the Go TV for that one later. Well, if we see the money for Astralis, they can buy in the next round regardless. Device does not have a defuse kit, so I mean maybe there's one on the... Is that one? That's just a boot next to him. I'm not sure if there is one nearby. So he may go for an exit frag. Let's see, here's footsteps there. They're moving away a little early, but Vinny wants to check. He has not picked up a defuse kit though, Device. Committing to it. Oh, there was one on the floor there, so he was going for the ninja after all. Didn't quite get there.
Yeah, I respect it. He's going for it there, and they have quite a bit of money. It's not... Oh, actually, yeah, it wasn't incredible. They're actually in a spot where Furia can actually break him. So that's not bad, considering how well some of the previous rounds have gone. Furia have been getting the kills in, as we can see, leaving just Glaive with money. Everyone else is broke. So Astralis really need this win to prevent eco territory. Art on the AWP is going to be quite interesting. We haven't really seen him get activated just yet. See him looking towards the main pick here with his orb. Lots of pressure. Yuri creeping outside as well. And it looks like he may get all the way down. And Astralis, they're feeling all this pressure on the upper bomb site. So they're not going to rotate anybody down lower just yet. So there may be the opportunity for a sandwich maneuver towards the ramp room if Yuri is able to get all the way to ramp. But of course, he's got to make some sound cues to do so. And teams often like to coordinate a distraction at the same time to allow someone to move through the door without it being heard.
Astralis not terribly concerned with the lower area just yet. Yuri biding his time, but no one's coming for him. In the meantime, Zipex is cleaning up on the ramp area. Now Device is surely going to add to the slaughter. 3 versus 2 in favor of the Danes. And maybe there was a card to play. Yuri's pretty much been down the vent this entire time, but he's going to get his bell rung in the A bomb site. Now, Case Rato has 4 HP and the bomb. He'll create some space. Pop flash into A, trying to get through to main, but not quite working out. So I don't know if Astralis realized that there was a player downstairs, but Yuri was waiting for everybody else to make plays on ramp. They got slaughtered by the Orgs, and it's another round in the bag for Astralis. 6 rounds from the last 7, not too shabby for them.
Yeah, I mean, the play worked. Yuri got a kill because as soon as all the presence to ramp was spotted, someone from Squeaky dropped into the vent. No idea that Yuri is there. And so that was what it was always supposed to do, but his teammates are supposed to be able to break through the ramp. It's so hard against the Orcs sometimes. It's just so difficult to trade the CTs if they find a good angle. The Orcs spray is just so consistent. It's very good on that second or third frag for the follow, well, the follow-up frags. Doesn't matter how many bullets you've sprayed. And Art's going to be able to creep through upper. This is amazing. I can't believe he's gone so far. Can he actually find a frag here? The timing is everything. Just barely misses the opportunity there. But the information's been given away. Magisk will appear to do the damage to Art. So they've lost Art now. That's unfortunate for Furia.
Magisk has been dropped in the meantime, but there are more defenses to be had. Potential variants through the smokes. Vinny's fishing, but not going to hook anything. Plenty of time on the clock. Everybody in the upper area for now. We've got Yuri creeping outside, and Glaive is inside the main position. Device is around hell. He's having a look here and there. Nothing doing just yet. Man, Brazilian peaks of AWPs are really crazy. From when we've seen Henny on the T-side of train doing crazy things, that was one of the wilder ones I've seen coming out of Squeaky like that. Dupree getting picked off. There's still a crossfire though for Astralis. 39 seconds remain. They've still got Vinny creeping with that Krieg. Furia big fans of the Krieg, and Glaive big fan of the Org, but only good for one. Device still on the high ground, trying to deter a plant for the time being. He spots one towards Squeaky, but a bomb has been planted, and that's a huge headshot from Keserato. And I think this is another chance for Furia to break the money of Astralis and try to get some more rounds on this T side.
Yeah, this was a really nice round again from Furia. I think it started out like it was looking pretty favorable for Astralis. Artie goes really deep but can't find the kill, gets taken down. It's a 5 versus 4 pretty early on, and Furia still didn't have a great idea of exactly what the setup was for Astralis on that upper bomb site. Yet still somehow Keserato is able to open things up. He got that initial kill or the trade onto Magisk, and then that second headshot against Device was pretty awesome. And you can see how Furia, they have these cool strategies where they're trying to force rotations, punish rotations with the way that they're taking their aggression on the map. And they've got the cool strategic layout. But they also have that level, which we just saw, where they have these really good individuals that can just try to play off intuition, try to punish certain timings of peaks that the CTs kind of have to make at certain points to get information, and they just get the kills flawlessly. So that's how Fury have gotten back into this one, really. And Art, he's back at this shenanigans again, but Magisk gets 2 off the spray through the door. Not a favorable start again for Furia.
Yeah, I think Magisk got legged. I'm not 100%, but yeah, it's another one where, in many rounds, they've lost people very, very early indeed. Finny hasn't been spotted despite that's a big spray. Still needs to check the hut though, just about does, but I don't know what happened there. If that was a mousewheel bug or just bad timing. Either way, it's Keserato versus Device and Glaive. They've got plenty of time for a slow rotation. Neither of them have a kit. Maybe there's one on the A bomb site somewhere. Device creeping. A quick pop up, but not quite making a connection. Now he's got to worry about where Glaive is. There he is. Now, how does he peek Device? I think he can jump over the panel in the middle of these 2 silos to find out where Device is. Pop flash play, easily avoided down to the pistol, but that will do the job. Another round in the bag for Astralis. But after the pistol, Furia basically haven't been able to get those consecutive rounds in. And Astralis continues to build on their CT side.
That was really scary from Keserato. I thought that flash was actually going to nail Device. If you get that perfect, I don't think you can really dodge that. So really fortunate that the USP was enough to do the damage there. Keserato so close to saving the day. I don't even know how they got into that position. It felt like they went down to like a 3 versus 5 pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's been really labored for them.
But the thing is, even though they are losing their players early on in some of these rounds, they're somehow they are actually able to, with their individual ability, fight back in the chaos to have some of these closer rounds, which is a much better look than I think that string of 4 rounds after the pistol. That's where it looked like they were focusing really, really hard on just trying to make some of these strats work and force rotations, and then that just wasn't getting shut down time and again. And so now they've been going for a more chaotic approach where they just try to force the fights. And it's been kind of working. But as you say, James, there's no consistency that's really been found as of yet. But Astralis' money is broken. If Fury if they are to win this one, they can still have that strong T half.
Yeah, they could potentially lead at half-time if they're able to break them in this particular round. Definitely easier said than done. Art's in the smoke. He might not even know where he is right now. I think many of us have been there. He's made his way downstairs. He's not being shy about it, running around, Sometimes you can try and disguise the sound while your teammates are spraying upstairs. No one seems to have realized, but he's not. I think he's trying to draw a rotation because he's trying to make it obvious that he's here. And there we go, there's a duel with Device. He's going to need some help. In the meantime, Furia will try to capitalize on this by making a play towards the ramp. Are they brave enough to go through that smoke? R picks the right direction. He's surrounded by 2 more players. That's a huge headshot from him. Sees the trajectory. He knows where Device is. Looking to cap him, almost, but not quite. Smokes up. They don't have to worry about bomb plant pressure just yet. There's a minute on the clock. With the Glock, he'll get another kill. There's only 2 Astralis players remaining. A team kill. Maybe that's nerves, I don't know. But it's Dupree versus 4, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, what a heroic play from Art. I need to be taken down by his own teammate. But yeah, that was really interesting. It's really interesting because they got a player down lower, but Astralis, you can see they hard rotated everybody down lower. We saw everyone go down ramp. And at that point, there's only 1 player there. So it seemed like Astralis had this read that more players were down lower than there actually were. And Art was able to maneuver really well and just get these kills. And I think Astralis, they either didn't get the right communication or something was up with the information there for them. And that hard rotation, it made things difficult.
I feel like that was an adjustment from Furia, where before they tried to keep it quiet or wait for something, but this time they tried to force the action in that position by making it obvious they were deep in the B bomb site very early. Because it compromises the defense on the ramp area. They tried to deal with it with, I think, Device in control, but he couldn't get the kill, so it made things really, really weird. Up close with the CZ, Device will make things weird, actually, around the secret position. 3 versus 3, maybe there's a rotation and those rifles are picked up. A Mag 7 could be very dangerous in this area as well, so this is a very interesting round. Surely Furia can get some consecutive rounds now. They've got all their advantages in their favor, but Astralis so far have made good use of the CZ at close range, and there's plenty more CZ and Mag 7 action to come, so it's guesswork for Furia as to where the CTs are, and that guess could be fatal for them.
I like Dupree's position as well, because Furia are one of those teams that they will try to pull everybody down, have a lurker somewhere in lobby, and then just switch, just go up the ladder into the upper bomb site, and then you're out of position, and the round's over. Kind of a checkmate style situation. And, well, Dupree has been discovered with their Mag 7, and Zipex, okay, opportunity there, but perhaps not. K-Serato will take him down, and 7-7. So despite some difficult times for Furia, they have the ability to get the 8th round now. They've got the advantage on the weaponry, and you know, if they're able to win that pistol in the next half as well, maybe that upset is on the cards that you're looking for, James. But you know, we'll have to see. The CZs in the hands of the likes of Astralis, certainly scary, especially on a map like this where there's lots of options for those aggressive options for the CZs, as well as you know, nice close ranges on the upper and lower bomb side alike. So definitely can't count them out.
Ooh, we've got trajectory for grenades on the map now. I haven't noticed that before. All right, well, the CZs are causing more problems once again. Art's been taken out, one of the kind of stylish players to watch on Furia. Maybe Nuke is a hard man to be stylish on, at least on the T side. Trying to make their way down with no smokes, Furia, and they'll be successful. Anti-force spy territory. They've got a minute 15 to try to take out Astralis while they're trying to move into aggressive positions. Now, Yuri's been heard in the garage area by Glaive. Surely he's been heard. But, well, looking at the radar, doesn't seem like he's figured it out just yet. So Yuri's now in a flanking position. Does he go up to clear out the A bomb site? There is a crossfire in B, so this could be very important for the team. If he can make sure no one is next to the vent, then that would be really important. If he goes towards the bridge, he should have enough of an angle. But he'll see that it's almost definitely empty, and I would expect that Furia make their way in towards A.
Indeed, and this is kind of the thing we were talking about before, just very precise there from Glaive with the CZ as the quick pop flash is let loose. He's just trying to delay by time now, the smoke as well, to make things a bit more annoying, but it's just down to Zipex here in the final moments of the first half. First half of the finals here at ECS in Wembley. So, James, would you like to do the honours for the first time here?
Absolutely. Can Furia close this out and make the butt-off prediction true? Find out after the break.
I thought my heart and made it colder. I took my soul and tried to run, but I have nowhere to hide. And you'll find me every time. Your pretty little lies are a game. I swear I always fall for the same. Yeah, your wild affection, sweet deception, taking over me. You know you'll find a way to get me back every time. With your pretty little lies, I thought I knew better. I'd learned my lesson this time. But when you promised me forever, I should have known it was a lie. But you always know what to say, and I always end up this way. Your pretty little lies are a game.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. It is about to be the second half between Astralis and Furia on Nuke, and here we are. We're straight into the action. Furia with a shaky start, but still winning many rounds on their first half. Now, if they can only win the pistol on the CT side, Astralis might have something pretty bad to worry about.
Yeah, the pistol was a great help, especially surviving the force buy of Astralis, giving Furia a nice cushion to start with, and they closed it out with 8 rounds, which I think was a surprise if you looked at the fashion in which Astralis were winning rounds. But here we are, Astralis on the T side now, no P250 for them, but it looks like close quarters as they seem likely to be heading towards the A-bomb site, jump spotting towards the ramp position, maybe trying to keep people away from the A site as they start to force their way in, or try to, but it's still stuck behind the door at the moment, trying to track for the headshot case Rato. He will be denied, however. Vinny's on the way, Art moves in as well. Good timing for that potential crossfire with the CTs, but it might not be enough. They're at 2 versus 4 now. Don't need plenty of crossfires if they are to bring this pistol back.
See the Parrot jumping around corners with the Glocks as well. Art and Vinny can't count them out just yet as the headshots are out and about, but here for Magisk instead of for Furia, as they will get wiped out there. Great performance from Magisk to clean up all of the Furia players, and like Furia did on their T-side, Astralis will win the T-side pistol, and Furia, will they opt to go for the force buy like Astralis did?
I think I can hear Zonic shouting from here. We are elevated, as you saw on camera earlier. We're like in front of the stage. These guys are playing behind the stage, and I think I can hear him shouting nice all the way from back there. Always good to hype up the team. Astralis now looking for a potential anti-force buy situation. I doubt they know just yet. Well, actually, Art has fired 1 shot with the scout, so they probably know it's a force buy situation at this point. This will give them a chance to start with a reasonable lead if they are to clean up on this situation. Oh, cap seen. No more cap for Dupree.
It's a nice shot to connect, actually. It's a really difficult one, but just without hesitation, Art connects it. And that really, like, hitting shots like that gives me a good feeling about Art's performance or ability to perform here on this CV side. I'm looking forward to seeing it with Norp in his hands, but for now it is the scout. Case Rato they'll know exactly where he is thanks to the Molotov, and they'll finish him off before he can use his utility set to get him out of trouble. And speaking of which, Furia have decisions to make here, because it would be very troublesome if they were to push in for this retake. There may be more advantages to be found by just trying to get the exits. We'll see how this engagement goes. Shots being exchanged here, but Furia still locked out at the choke points, looking like they still are committed to going towards that bomb. And, well, looks like pretty much everyone's going to get taken out here. Just R2's playing passively with the scout.
When, I don't know who it was by Decontamination who was dueling the guy with a CZ who was standing on the rail, but I think Art was trying to wallbang from the vents at the same time,
he was,
which was pretty cool. It was a weird situation. Furia had, I think, 4 players. They had 2 of them who didn't have any Kevlar. So because they've got an eco in the next round, I think at a certain point, I mean, it's difficult, especially on Nuke, I think, on the B bomb side, because you're so close to the site. But the choke points are so punishing, because in a lot of cases on different maps, I feel like people will be like, all right, let's not take this. It's almost, well, it's pretty much suicide. Next round is eco. We can reset with better positions with these weapons that we have, and just have a go all over again. But I feel like there's a lot of temptation on Nuke because of the vertical nature of the map, where you will push and won't get things a lot of the time, and then you'll lose almost everything. So now it's just a scout and a few CZs here and there, but we've got 2 unanswered frags for Furia, so this is very interesting. One question is, can they retrieve any of these weapons? But right now, Astralis have no significant position and no answer to these frags.
Yeah, I really liked Astralis' approach, just bullying their way forwards through Squeaky. But in losing that kill for free, they lost all momentum. They couldn't get the trade. And once that happens, you can't then commit another player through the angle and then rely on a trade, because if that guy goes down, even if you get the trade, a huge disadvantage. But looks like Art has been found with an HE from Glaive, so they are starting to work on this now, but it may take some time to get everybody into position, and that time can be used proactively by Furia with what little they have to try to get into the action. K-Serrado is already 20 for 10, so he's obviously having a hell of a game here for Furia, one of their star players, but the Furia talent pool does run pretty deep in this team, so can Astralis find a way to clean this up? K-Serrado with that UMP looking dangerous.
Not quite time pressure just yet. Trades will go in favor of Astralis, but the numbers are even. But the weaponry certainly is not. Device keeping his gun out until he's about to plant the bomb. So it's Yuri with a scout versus 2 full health players who could be in a trade frag situation. Device will spot him. Yuri not even able to begin to flick. And there it is. They survive those early frags, and it's 10-8 to Furia, sorry, to Astralis. Now it's time for Furia to buy. Art's kept enough money for the AWP, and they've got all the Yorgs, but they've got, well, let's see how the utility turns out. It's a mixed bag. They're not in a terrible place. They've got mollies for the A-bomb site, so this should be interesting.
Yeah, they did all things considered as well, they did a pretty good amount of damage, so they can be pretty happy with that. Again, as we mentioned before, you know, Art on the AWP is a defining factor, a focal point for this team, as he's able to creatively do quite a lot. Not afraid to get into the action. And he will be playing from secret stairs in this round. And Astralis are starting things off fairly slow. So
oh no. Device just fell off the roof and lost half his health.
Nice.
I saw in the X-ray. It's like, where is this player going? And the Device is on 50 HP.
All the smokes. Oh, can he get the 1? That's all he needs is the 1. He sees the hand.
Oh no.
I don't know if he was seen though. It was a right-eye peek from Glaive, so there's a possibility he actually saw Art, potentially.
Maybe why he messed up his Molotov from panic.
That's going to slow them down though, and also Art can keep tabs on that. So Astralis have to keep Art honest. They can't just let him sit there, and because otherwise the wall of smokes is somewhat pointless. So you either have to kind of commit behind it and push him back with force, or use utility to do so. Oh, shot onto Yuri. This is precarious stuff. 40 seconds to go though. Astralis need to get a move on.
Finny waiting to hold down this main position. Surely gets over the York, but no, he doesn't. K-Serrado's blind. 3 unanswered frags for Astralis. Very, very fast indeed. That is a deletion. Moving into the main position, not losing a single player. That is a really tough task. They kind of made it look easy. That was absolutely savage, the way they came in there. I don't know where that flashbang came from, but it's Astralis after all. And they're showing why they're Astralis with that round. Yeah, that was nasty.
They had some great... They managed... It took them quite a lot of time to do it safely, but they got so much position, and their spacing was so good. And as you say, like the utility in combination with good timing and spacing, just that's all you need. And Furia needed more warning of that coming to be prepared, to at least throw some counter utility. Without that, they were just caught completely exposed. Really well played by Astralis. Going to kick things off here with a fast dive down vent from Glaive. And Artie's got himself an aggression of his own. in the works, and he's going to see magic. And he's forced to take him down. And who else is hanging out? Okay, so Art now, he's causing problems here. This is going to waste a lot of time. How long can he keep himself alive in this spot?
Could he have run away, I wonder? Now, do you just resign to the fact that your teammate is going to die, or do you try and protect him and help him? Well, some of the players have gone for a forward position, so indeed they know Astralis have to exterminate their teammate, and they're going to try and capitalize on this, but the flashbangs are too strong. 2 pistols remain, Keserato and Able J. Now, maybe they would back off in this position and try and pick up something once Astralis move into a bomb site, because ultimately they've got to plant the bomb. So maybe either you hold a choke point and try and stop them and win the round, or you pick up the rifles and try and win the round, but as you can see, they're being disposed of. Device continuing with the MP9. What did he throw away? It looks like a larger gun than that. But I guess they'll take a safer approach. 30 seconds and they're creeping towards Secret. If Able J can survive here, if he doesn't fight to the death, then this could be very interesting, but Device is going to force him to fight to the death, and that leaves only 1 player to stop a bomb plant, who could be traded potentially, so... And then that would be the round. Oh no, they're going in. That is a great way to answer it. I saw disaster, but it's Astralis, and it's hard to cause disaster against Astralis.
Yeah, and that's actually the thing. Device, speaking of the MP9, the MP9 is actually really amazing against pistols, because it really punishes the fact that if you miss a couple of shots in the pistols, you know, the MP9 gets on top of you because he doesn't have to stop moving, and you get really good movement speed with it too. Whereas a rifle, you stop, start, which actually gives the pistols more opportunity for easier shots, and also more opportunity to kind of make it awkward for you. So a really perfect weapon for the job there to make that safe. And 5 rounds in a row, looking pretty easy for Astralis right now. And Furia, we've seen a fall by only once before this, like this, 4 Orcs and an Orb, and it got really badly shut down. It was a slow pace from Astralis, and they had that coordination from main, I think 4 players almost, and with like a God Flash into the upper bomb site, and that's how they crushed Furia's fall by. So will they be able to do that again?
Yeah, this is the full fall by from them for the most part. Light grenades on Art. He's got a flashbang though, and it can be important as a sniper to support your teammates, but it looks like Astralis will try to break that fast play by moving very quickly into A, at least through Squeaky. Spectre makes his way downstairs. He'll force the rotation. You've got Able J downstairs already, making a lot of steps, so they'll have a rough idea of where he is, I think. Now, Furia have not won a CT round just yet, and that's completely unacceptable on Nuke. So they've got to turn it around soon, because Astralis are moving pretty close to that victory. They've got a frag already, Astralis, not answered by Furia, who still have control of the ramp, but that may change soon.
Yuri in problems there, having to dart backwards. And there's still plenty of time for Astralis to just make things uncomfortable here. They've obviously got Zipex down lower. Unsure if he's known, but surely they know now. Players in position to cover all of this. The setup from Furia is beautiful. There is a player for everything, crossfires all over the place. Really well done. Astralis just kept it simple. They got positioned for a lower play, they went for it, and Furia, they had enough information to be set up. So that's their first round. They survived with 3 players. That is exactly what they needed. They will have to keep it going though, because Astralis' pockets are going to run pretty deep still.
Very important pickup for Furia. Yuri's got to pull out the French gun, and the AWP has disappeared for both teams. Device could have purchased one, but they may feel it's not necessarily necessary on every round. It depends on what you want to achieve, of course. And another, even on both sides, it seems that Furia are losing a man very, very early. So every round has got to be the hard way. And when you go 4 versus 5, the stats aren't good to win a round. So it's proving to be very difficult for Furia. Just can't stabilize in the first 30 seconds, it seems, on either side. And now everything slows down. Astralis lining up the smokes for outside. There isn't much to counter with for Furia. 1 smoke, 1 Molotov, 1 HE grenade, and 1 flashbang. They do, though, have a lot of AUGs.
I was looking to get information here. He's looking towards ramp because they want to know if those secret smokes this is another way to check if there's a secret play. Well, roll that for, because here comes the engagement, and oh wow, just through the wall there to finish off Innie. There's not too much left here for A1 to do. Oh, he gets the bomb though, and that will slow things down. He's gonna have to try to push aggressively behind this. If he can get another frag, another 1 versus 1, but no, Device will deny him. And Furia, they made the smart move there. You know, you can't, as you say, because it has no utility, no position, really commit everyone to a lower rotation just because you see the smokes outside. But one thing that can give you a tell is to see if there's anything happening in lobby, because if there's pressure towards ramp at that point, then obviously it becomes a bit more likely that the team is going to be coming towards lower. But here we are, 13-9. Furia really struggling on their CT side. And this is kind of what I was talking about before, James, is that they can have these great T halves, but their CT sides against teams like Liquid, Astralis, they are significantly more challenging for Furia.
Again, Furia very light on grenades. I don't think they've had like 100% buy, full buy in any round just yet. Even when I said it was a full buy, Art had 1 flash, and that was about it. So they were a little short, and it doesn't look great in this position. Forced to use smokes early, as they know that Secret's been compromised already. And Astralis are looking for that early frag. They're trying to handicap Furia and then capitalize and exploit them afterwards. Smoke towards main to deny information. Now this threatens Rap towards the hell position, and it forces Case Ratto to peek from heaven to keep an eye on what's going on. Where are we compromised? There's a lot of time on the clock as far as Counter-Strike's concerned for Astralis to quickly explode. Let's not forget their last play into main where they deleted 3-4 players in a matter of seconds. You can see Glaive is also trying to identify the makeup of the Furia formation at the moment. We see a move into hell as we see Molotovs into heaven. Glaive, I think, was just spotted outside, but with 30 seconds left, 5 versus 5, what are you trying to do for Furia? It has to be nervous times for them.
Yeah, when Astralis gets set up for a bomb site and they get to hit it flawlessly, it's so scary. It feels unstoppable. And here you go, 15 seconds, real slow round. Oh, that's an important one from Art. We'll take down Zipex, who was lurking the upper bomb site, but the real problem for Furia is that the bomb is going to go down low, and there's not really too much to stop it. This retake will be very labored, very difficult, and Magic will make it significantly worse with K-Serato getting eliminated. And you can see Furia will call for the save. And that's Astralis getting to 14 rounds, only 1 buy round working out for Furia. They are struggling enormously on the CT side. Again, this has been the problem for them, these CT sides. But I have to say, you know, it's a good problem to have, James, because I would say that it's easier to fix a CT sides than it is a T side. I think fixing T sides is significantly more difficult.
The string of lands for them at the moment are there are huge tests for Furia, and this is a great way for them to start off, win or lose, just with maybe the toughest test of Astralis. And again, plenty of storylines on both sides. Astralis have they've got to show and prove after holidays and such. Not too shabby so far, but it's not won just yet. And we have another buy for Furia. They've got the AWP back on Art, but he's naked. Again, they just can't get a full buy. They're lacking grenades, or they're lacking Kevlar, they're lacking something every time. They have 3 or 5 defuse kits, and Art starts to creep, maybe expecting the squeaky door to be blown off again. For many teams, it's part of the default to blow off the door of a HE, but it's not a given for every team in every round. So he'll be denied on this occasion. Maybe Astralis reading that, they'll be looking for something like that with a player such as Art on their team, who knows? Yeah,
it's one of those things where you can, it's like I think that the dynamic that's been established very well in Inferno on Banana, where if you set it up that you're like throwing utility towards door in this instance all the time, early timings, the CTs will just they'll dump their utility early. So in a round where you don't even do it, you get to save your utility, do it later on when they have less. So you get to bait them into using it when they shouldn't. In case Serato, in lobby when perhaps he shouldn't be, able to get some info, but not too much. Vinny was checking it as well. So Furia really wondering what's up here with Astralis, and one of the very few rounds where we see Furia starting off the round with an advantage on the numbers. However, Astralis, always dangerous, although they are lacking the utility. They've got no smokes remaining at this point.
They've had to dump a lot of utility into the lobby because of that forward smoke from Furia. I I did want to note the wall of smoke outside, they delayed one of the smokes, which is commonly Molotovs. It wasn't on this occasion, but even if that was the plan, they had a delayed smoke. So Astralis haven't missed any detail in their recent absence. But yeah, this is ruined the timing somewhat for Astralis. But here they go into that main position again, which was savaged last time. They don't need to fight that one to the death. 1 for 1. That's not good enough for Furia on the A bomb side. Case has got to find 2, but he doesn't. And the trades continue. 3 survive though for Furia. Not too many trades for them. They're only 4 rounds away. It's looked disastrous, and I mean it has been in this half, but they're still only 4 rounds away. So it's certainly not too late for Furia. But it was so important. I think it's really hard to throw Astralis off their game on Astralis' T side, and that smoke was kind of ruinous for them, because if they had plans for late in the round of executes and so on, they had to dump so much utility just in case. Like, if Art's holding an angle anywhere, be it the radio room, the squeaky area, or the hut into lobby, you're dead. So they had to dump a lot of stuff. And speaking of dumping, they're dumping into the A-bomb sites at the moment. And again, Furia have lost the man early. But this time it's a 4 versus 4.
Yeah, at least it's a 4v4. That is something. But that creates a lot of... So a super fast opening, but it creates so much room to work with for Astralis. They can slow things down now, and it's going to be significantly easier for them to find an opening in the CT defense. So they can play it slow, and that is a great shot there. What a stutter step from Glaive. Finds a very decisive shot onto Able J, getting himself positioned down lower. In the meantime, Art did pick up a frag, but the position is really what's important, and the position is with Astralis here for this lower bomb site plant.
3 versus 3. Everybody's downstairs for the CTs. Oh, absolutely denied. Astralis just ahead of the game. They know what you want to do before you know what you want to do. And that can be very costly. Huge frag for Quesarasso. Closes the door so they can move to control. Can have more angles on the site. Device can keep an eye on a door, I think, without showing to the control windows. He's going to show presence to distract from Glaive. The Molotov will force Glaive forward. That grenade will be very, very timely. Don't think he saw the CTs. They're forcing their way in, so they're going all the way for this one. It's going to be really, really close. Now it's just Device trying to go grenade in there, but he's down to 22 HP. Case Rat has got a defuse kit. There's got to be a meat shield. Yuri's got to protect him. Oh, he's so close to the defuse. Just about getting there in time. They really needed that one. But again, only one person survives for them. And that could be an issue in the rounds to come.
That was so close. Oh my god. Furia just staying in it by the skin of their teeth. And as you say, James, it's not the idealist way to do it, but there's no other way than to do it at this point, as Astralis is so close to actually winning the match. So, I mean, Astralis have weird money as well. I mean, Astralis can get a buy-in, but they won't have maximum utility. And if they go for that buy, that kind of means that they need to play a somewhat faster round. And they won't have options in the mid to late round if it doesn't go well in the early round plays. So there's definitely an argument to go for a half buy here for Astralis. We'll have to see what they'll end up deciding to do. In fact, it will be the half buy for Astralis. So there you go. So Furia will have some... They'll be able to take some relief in that. But of course, Astralis are always dangerous. I'm sure they have a plan for a round such as this. But yeah, this is not over just yet. It'd be cool to see...
It's only 3 rounds, man. 3 rounds.
Yeah, just a second win may have just been found by Furia. We'll have to see.
The early mollies are in. There's a smoke by the vent. Does that cause concern for Furia? Perhaps it does. Art's in the lower area. Having a look. Even with the CZs, the pistols for Astralis, they will still create some doubt or a passage to close range engagements with the wall of smoke outside. The 3 smoke, wall of smoke. Again, you see the late one captured by Sliggy. Very nice work. And there is the pilgrimage. Quietly going downstairs. No sound cues. Could be 1, could be 5, could be none. This will be a numbers game. Someone's going to take a bullet for the president. Or do they? You can see they've got mollies to line up to even deny this position. The bomb is still upstairs for the time being. It's been carried by Zipex. So what is the ultimate plan? It seems the bomb may want to join the players, unless it's going to wrap into the A bomb site. We'll see what the ultimate plan is. Art forced away, down to 27 HP. Now he's very vulnerable to a fast peek with a pistol.
That is so amazing. They know he's going to stand in the Molotov for a frag. Bait him forever. That's so cool to see. They will get taken down to the weaponry, or the superior weaponry of Furia. Oh! Okay, shot in the back. Good cover from Art, I suppose. Better late than never. Device has found himself an AUG though. He's in a really awful predicament indeed. Just goes and dies. So there it is. Furia cleaned that round up. Wasn't all that scary in the end. Perhaps not as clean as they would have liked, but it will do. And speaking of getting in full buys, they will still be denied that. Perhaps James, because Yuri can't get all of his nades, and they don't have all the AUGs. But that's fine. Zipex just broke the milestone of 600 kills throughout the ECS finals that he's attended. Nice.
I'm liking the stats. I like the odds for Furia as well. They were extremely juicy odds. I think the best one on Nuke. It's very nice and still doable for Furia. 2 rounds away now. Not a fan of trophies, it seems. Will we see a smoke towards the main position? Art's caught completely off guard. How on earth did that happen? Was not expecting that at all. That is disastrous for Furia. They have another man down there, but now there's so much concern. There's so much time for Astralis to exploit this. Again, pretty much a free kill for them in this situation. And then there's so much time, plenty of guesswork to be had. You can see the aggression from Furia towards the ramp position, trying to cut off areas of the map. Yuri trying to get 2, he almost can, but not quite.
Yeah, that's really, really big there from Magis. Important trade. They need more, though. And they're going to get more. Serato and Able J able to defend the upper bomb site. In comes the flank from Vinny. He's done some good damage as well, causing Glaive to have to turn between 2 places, and he just can't. Serato finishes it off. And again, another round where Furia, they go down to 2 players, and it looks a bit sketchy at times, but they get it over the line, and that's the important part. 13-14 now as Astralis don't have good money, so they're going to have to half-buy again. And Furia looks like they cleaned that last half up pretty well, so they'll be confident. And they're looking to move to a tied game situation. So despite the fact that I think, James, it's fair to say, even in the first half, even though Furia got 8 rounds, it looked like a struggle. And on this half as well, it's looked like a struggle.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it often does versus Astralis. But it's weird because of the way it's looked. It's surprising to see them with so many rounds at this point.
True.
But they don't really have any money in the hole. Now we've got a hero Galil for Astralis. I don't know if we're going to see any more as their timeout soon finishes. There's a tech pause as well. But I mean, Furia could still be broken, and this would be a disastrous point to be broken. So this is a very interesting situation at present, and that was a really really odd one as far as Art's concerned. But it's very interesting because I wonder, you know, Furia have a number of lands with which to prove themselves. This is a very tough spot for them, and if nerves play into this point at all, that could be the end. But I mean, just look at the situation in terms of money. I wonder if there was a round restore and maybe the Galil was bought by accident. We'll see. It seems there is a half buy, no Galil, so I guess someone. I'm guessing there's an auto buy. I don't understand why pros have auto buy in their config. Just remove it. It's not in my config.
Can't all be like you, James.
Probably good for the best.
Well, we're back into it. Astralis with a half buy, and they will be going outside once again. A bit faster this time behind the smokes, and perhaps that pace will catch Furia off guard. I think we need some game sound. Pipe that into the headphones. There we go. Beautiful. And not too many grenades here from Furia. They would have dumped a lot, you know, as a counter utility to serve as a protection against fast timings. And Astralis straight in towards the vents and decontamination, and control is somewhat off limits for now. But what are you going to do now? You've managed to make your way down this far, but how do you get through the choke points?
I think Zipex is going to go fishing towards the A bomb site. I think Glaive is looking for an opportunity if he gets any information. So it seems they'll continue to show some presence, at least with some footsteps, some jiggling maybe from Dupree in control. But I do wonder. Well, I mean, I think Zipex is in the anti-eco position at the moment. So if you were the guys with the guns, That's the place where you can fall back if the CTs were to rush lobby, for example, which is why I refer to it as the anti-eco position. All right, so Glaive showing presence. The bomb is in the lower area on device. K-Fractor's got to deliver that kill. He does. All right, so it seems they've stabilized Furia. I'm wondering about the nerves, even the knife. All right, so I guess they're not nervous after all. That said, that is important money at this point. If you can get away with that, it is risky because you don't want to give Astralis that bonus money. Those are extra grenades which may cost you the game. So, I mean, if you're brave enough, if you think you know the timing and he's not going to plant, then be my guest.
I thought he would have had to use the orb to actually deny the plant. I didn't know he had time for the knife.
If device to turned around, he plants the bomb.
It's, well, 14-14 we're here. Furia with a string of rounds right at the end, and it was looking very unlikely, but now they've made it possible. Astralis running out of steam right at the worst possible moment, and that's an upset on Nuke is on the cards here. And let's not forget, Astralis, their last appearance at the tournament at the Blast, that's when they lost their streak on Nuke against ENCE. And Furia recently played ENCE on this map, and I don't think it went super well for them. I think in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. And they also struggled against Liquids, also on Nuke. But I have to say, with all the Nuke that we've been seeing recently, James, I've actually been really enjoying the fact that teams are understanding how to play the map better, because we are seeing a lot better T sites and understanding of how to play those T sites across the board. So slow timing with the wall of smokes, Zipex with lobby presence. So this is very standard. This is like one of the most standard rounds you could ask for on the T side.
Art's in the same position. On the stairs. Limited success. But maybe he'll have some more now. Oh, he's adjusted. He's got a Molotov of his own.
That's actually huge because he can still hold his position because that molly holds him, but he also has them held, and he understands this. So can he get a cheeky shot in? He's got to be so careful. It's such a fine line. Ooh. That's a hard one to hit.
There's 25 seconds on the clock. That incendiary could be ruinous. Have they adjusted at the perfect time, Furia? The door is open, and Glaive has been closed off from this round. Furia might be moving to match point in this first best of one. They're stuck. They can't get through the choke point. There's 10 seconds on the clock. They've got to get this bomb down, but look at the flurry of frags. Just in time, of course. It's Astralis. Maybe they can turn this all the way around. No mollies for the CT side. More frags for Astralis. 2 versus 2 now. This is absolutely ridiculous. Zipex, I don't think, has shown his position. Creeping to control. How long does K-Ratto hold this angle for? Zipex moving up now. Oh, look at the wrong way! Oh, I thought he might have missed it. It's gone down to the wire. That was absolutely crazy. What an effort from Astralis. What an effort from Furia. From K-Ratto, 28 frags at the moment. He and Glaive up there, but jeez Louise, you saw that one turning around for Astralis.
Oh my god, that was really, really brutal. That almost went Astralis' way. I can't believe it. They were so much in a disadvantage there, and yet they still look dangerous. But it's Furia with the W, and at least for Astralis, they get that bomb down. They have enough money for a full buy here, and I think they have, well, close enough to full utility. So at least they got a good shout at this overtime. Oof, Furia. Again, it's the quality of their individuals, honestly, that keeps them alive in a lot of these dangerous situations. I think they remind me of how back in the old days, you know, Fallen first came up with Kaboom TD. It started off as a team that had great strategy and tactics, and then we understood that the talent ran really deep over time with that team. And Furia kind of they remind me of that sometimes, because they focus on the strategy, they focus on the tactics, they focus on innovation, but the talent is there to back it up. And that is what you need when you're against the best teams in the world, because stuff is going to go wrong. You've got to have players that can handle that on the fly. Furia certainly do.
Yeah, I'm glad they've managed to keep their roster together so we can see where the ceiling is for them. It's a story you don't often get to see with all these orcs and all this money, but we do on this occasion. Look at that. Furia get an opening frag, not answered by Astralis for once. And what a time to do it. The bomb's been dropped on the floor, and the advantages continue for Furia. 4 versus 2. Surely there's no way back into this. Device 1 versus 4. Oh my god, Furia have done it. 16-14. It was never in doubt, Dan. It was never in doubt.
Oh wow, that's impressive. What a comeback again at every single phase of this game. I feel like Furia, they were on the struggle bus, James. It was so difficult in that first half. yeah, sure, they got the pistol round, but after that, they couldn't quite make their strategies work. It came down to these clutch moments. It came down to the individuals and their brilliance just in the raw aim battles and the chaos. They had to go to that, and that was how they managed to get that 8-7. And then it looked like they weren't going to win any CT rounds until right at the end, and they string them all together at once.
Yeah,
can barely believe it.
For me, it's kind of weird to kind of think about where all those rounds came from. Obviously, they won the first pistol, but the fact they got that many rounds in the first half seems surprising. Like, you barely even remember them, but they've got to be super happy with that. That's a great way to start a tournament. Yeah. They keep their great percentages on Nuke. Again, they were about 89% in the last 3 months before. Obviously, this is going to be a tougher test than the average one that they have, but that is absolutely fantastic. And again, for me, it was the perfect storm. Obviously, it's an upset and they're an underdog, but I think that this is the best opportunity to take a Nuke away from Astralis with their momentum, their recent stats, the ring rust, the fact it's the best of one, and so on and so forth. But boy, was it a struggle. I think that's the hardest game I've seen one versus Astralis in a while, and I believe we have Smix with Art downstairs.
Thank you very much, James. Congratulations, Art. That was obviously a very emotional win for you guys. Not only do you take down Astralis, the former #1 team in the world, but you do it on Nuke, which is obviously a notoriously good map for them. So this must be a huge boost of confidence for you guys.
Yeah, it feels like we won a major in Astralis. It was amazing. Nuke is our best map, so we just feel confident on Nuke.
And going up against Astralis, I know you just said that Nuke is your best map. Was there any extra preparation that you guys had to do knowing you're facing Astralis, or did you just decide to play your own game?
No, we had no time for preparation because of the Dallas tournament. We just kind of play our game based on what they do and try to counter them, but at the end was mostly our game.
When the score was 14-14 and your team had that clutch against Zipix, I could hear you guys yelling so loudly. What were you guys saying, if you don't mind me asking?
I was just celebrating, saying, let's go, let's go. And I just hyped, yeah.
For sure, and it's just a fantastic start for you guys here in London. Next up, it's going to be either NIP or NRG, but after taking down a team like Astralis, I feel like, does that make you a lot more comfortable moving forward?
Yeah, doesn't matter the team we get, they're going to be hard. And even so we won Astralis, doesn't really matter to the next games. It's going to be the same, just our confidence is going to be high.
Last question before I let you go. I know you just said you're coming off of Dallas, which was an amazing event for you guys. It put you guys on the radar for a lot of people who may not have known about you guys before. Coming out of that event, what are the biggest sort of things that you learned?
I think the biggest thing is playing more calm the situations, play the situations better. Even so, we played Astralis, some situations we played very well, and I think that has really helped.
Well, awesome to hear. Congratulations once again on that win over Astralis. We'll see you in just a bit, but for now, let's head back to Furia.
Thank you so much for that, Sue. What a fantastic, unexpected performance from Furia there. You can see just how much it means to them in that interview.
Good kickoff, Matt, Brad. That's what you want to see going down right there. Now, you and I obviously thought that Astralis were going to take that one. Yeah. But there was so much sloppiness in that game from both teams in several moments that it felt like that window, that door was open. And I thought, when you get that many rounds, you get 8 T rounds against Astralis. That's normally the T rounds that Astralis get on Nuke. So the fact that they did that, fantastic stuff from the Brazilians.
Yeah, no, I mean, from start to finish. And again, Kesarada had an amazing game just from an individual point of view. But even though he's not going to be at the top of the stats, Art was probably the shining light for me on the side of Furia there, especially with his opping. Because, again, they put him in a position where it's like unorthodox style of opping. He's leading the charge in a lot of ways. And it doesn't even matter if it's like awkward angles or something. He'll face door, first man in, like, all kinds of awkward angles. It just seems to be like second nature to him.
The in-game leader doing that, right? He had the most first kills in the entire game. Yeah. And there was one point where he was like 5 for 5 in terms of opening success rate, either deaths or... So it's like it's either paying off or it's working against the team. But there were some situations there that I think both teams, they did struggle on. There was it was a weird game in certain rounds. There was some odd timing, some weird pushes. And I think in that first half that the Furia did what they needed to do. They rattled out of Astralis to get that many T rounds. It's a fantastic sign, and I'm looking forward to see if they can continue that, because they have a chance now just to go straight through and go get the highest seed in this group.
Well, definitely. I mean, we're going to see them in the best of 3 later against either NIP or NRG. But just to pick up on what you were saying about Art, obviously Kesarato tops the leaderboard, 29 frags. Art down there, 21. Then go down to Able J, 18. Like, they were all... I mean, Kesarato obviously coming out ahead of everybody, but they're all just performing incredibly well.
Everybody's chipping in at the right times, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whenever Astralis wanted to go towards that inner bomb site, Vinny would be good for one, at the very least, to kind of stem the tide of that quick push through through Squeaky. If they were able to go downstairs, Art would be posted up with the op. I mean, Yuri, even though he would fairly quiet, he would come in like with, you know, exact and right amount of backup, I guess, in certain situations to really just help Furia stabilize. And I think that's what really, well, gave them the edge towards the end of it. On the side of Astralis, this was a bit of a kick in the privates, if I'm going to be honest. And I mean, it's I'm not trying to take anything away from Furia, but I think it's one of the worst Nuke games I've ever seen Astralis play.
From 31-0 to 0-2. Right, and they lost to Ents, who are the world number 3, and Furia, a team that have really only come onto people's radars in recent times. So that is quite a contrast there. And now Furia, we did hear from Art, it is their best map, and they feel comfortable on it. But still, this is big boy Counter-Strike now. This isn't the Minnows, this isn't Mountain Dew League, this isn't any of that nonsense. This is a fantastic unit that they've just been able to stifle in this regard. And James mentioned it on the cast just then, the ring rust, right? That has to play a factor for Astralis. But regardless, Furia here have made a statement. So I'm very impressed to see this.
Well, definitely. And I mean, it's their first game coming onto LAN here. What a way to start it off. I mean, from
shakes
those
up
guys.
the group completely.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we are totally wrong in our predictions up here. So that's definitely thrown us off. Not had the best start for us, but all these lovely highlights brought to you by NVIDIA. We've got so much to talk about from that last game. I mean, there's just so many rounds there that are coming up, and you guys were saying it was sloppy, right? From both sides of points.
Yeah, there were some moments there. There was the one round that sticks out in my mind. It was just like a standard wall smoke round. But we actually, when you look at the way that some of the decisions were coming out from Furia on those number advantage situations, on those force buy or pistol upgrade rounds, they were putting themselves in really good positions. But then they would go for these clunky, aggressive, we got to catch them off guard type of moves instead of just playing as a unit and closing out those rounds. It felt like the risk versus reward was a bit unnecessary in certain times, but they still close out the game. So it's hard to be too critical, really.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, because when you think about it, like what really worked on their CT side, for example, what was the linchpin? And honestly, it's hard to pinpoint. To me, like one of the better things we saw out of them was actually the aggression towards lobby.
Yes.
Every now and again, wanting to actually pinch that area from ramp and Hut. That was kind of what did it for me, even though they didn't necessarily find too many kills off of it, but they killed a lot of time. And I think that actually came to be the case for Astralis in a lot of the rounds where they ran down the clock significantly more than what they usually do on Nuke. Normally they're pretty set to take a site fairly early on, and they don't necessarily feel the time constraint really just pinching in on them. This time around, they felt flustered more or less the entire time when they wanted to close out rounds.
Well, and we're going to move on to a particular round that you've picked up on, Chad. Do you want to tell us what this is?
This is Art being an absolute baller, right? So this is an in-game leader of a team who plays with a very aggressive style, and I just wanted to highlight one of these rounds where he's gone in and found a huge amount of impact. It's on a gun round. He gets the way into the lower bomb side, and we should be able to bring that one up momentarily here so you can see what I'm talking about. But he sneaks to lower. Look, they've been doing that throughout the game. It's not, unheard of to see teams vent diving, vent dropping, getting it done. You can see here there's a little bit of confusion. He can't get down the vent to start things off. And eventually he's going to find his way down there. But it's these 3 kills. Now he's opted to go through the decon door, and he's going to actually push up towards ramp where he gets the opening kills before he fights the player in window. But it's the 3rd kill that we're going to see coming on in here. Look at this, right? So he spotted the player, and he's still audacious enough to continue forward, to continue focusing elsewhere. Gets these 2 massive kills, is able to allow his teammates now to apply pressure, and the ramp attack is on. But it's this next kill here, which is why I consider him a bit of a baller. Look at this. He hasn't reloaded, doesn't care, jumps through, pushes with the Glock, and gets the kill onto the device. Yeah, he's not afraid of anything. I just wanted to highlight how audacious and how much flair this individual has, because it's definitely a player that people need to be keeping their eyes on.
Yeah, I also think it's an actually nice way of showcasing a little bit of, I guess, ring rust on the side of Astralis as well, because you already have a player down by control room.
Mm-hmm.
There's no actual control gained from the side of Furia. Yeah. Obviously, you do worry about Art actually pushing up on ramp, potentially pinching on the one ramp player, but, I mean, you have a pretty solid setup on the 2 Astralis rotating players coming in from either under heaven or from ramp, but they give up that position completely. They actually try to pinch one player and completely give up any sort of map control for only Art, while there's a 3-man ramp push coming in as well. that's not very typical for Astralis. Yeah. That's not what you see on an average day. And that's the kind of issues that they can't allow themselves to make because teams are going to take advantage of it.
Is it too early? The demise, Astralis,
are you calling it?
They're on top.
End of the era.
That's it. Let's just call it, wrap it up, pack it up. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, we said it in the pregame. I wouldn't be too worried long-term for Astralis. Yeah. You know, I kind of figured they would make it to a finals, and if they didn't win, that's not the end of the world. Now it actually kind of gets a bit messy, right?
What if they don't get out of groups?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a very real thing for them because, I mean, Nuke was their strongest map, always been their calling card. Now they lose to Furia, albeit a very strong map for them, but, you know, NIP, NRG, they also have strong maps in their map pool.
Well, we saw a bit of spice coming out of your round pick there, and we're going to see a little bit more of that with our X Factor of the match brought to you by HyperX.
Ooh.
I think we know what this is going to be. This is going to be a cheeky little knife kill. Of course it is. We got to see that. That was a bold play.
He had 2 knife kills. Yeah, we're going to see the second here as well.
This one here is much braver. I think the context of going for that, if the player steps up and kills him, and obviously they're probably not going to lose that round, but they could lose a lot of investment right there. So there's a couple of things to consider. But they're known for going for the knives. They did it against Liquid when they played in the semifinals over there in Dallas. They had 3 knife kills in 3 consecutive rounds. You don't really see that ever?
No. Yeah. I mean, we like to talk about how Astralis changed the game, right? I mean,
maybe the knife
Furious,
meta.
Yeah,
it's the knife
apparently
meta.
That's the thing. I mean, we've seen it every now and again with the weirdest kinds of weapons. I mean, JW with the Mag 7 on pretty much every map in the early days of CSGO. Maybe knifing on ramp is going to be a new thing.
Well, definitely. I mean, I believe we're going to be throwing it back down to Sue. She has got the coach from NIP ahead of our next game with NIP versus NRG. Let's take it away to Sue.
Thank you very much, Freya. It's great to speak with you, Peter. I know you guys just got here from Dallas just a few days ago. So what is the condition of the team looking like ahead of today's matches?
A bit tired, I'd say, but it's the same for NRG. So I think the team that has got the most sleep, the best breakfast, will play the best, I think.
And I know Dallas was an interesting event. You guys didn't have the full roster, and in fact you had to step up and play yourself. So personally speaking, what was that experience like for you?
Hopefully the last time experience, to be honest. Yeah.
Any takeaways there? Because I know being thrust into that position it kind of takes you off guard. So did you just have to fill in the spots where Dennis usually plays, or did the team have to kind of move you around?
No, first off, we wanted me to just be like helping the team, and then Forrest told me, I think it was after the FaZe game where we lost, he said just play your game and play as the positions as Dennis would play. So you know, we didn't expect that to happen. Dennis not showing up, but we just tried to do the best of the situation, and yeah, unfortunately it went how it went. So
yeah, sometimes crap happens, but still you're walking away from the tournament and you're coming into London now. And despite the fact that you guys weren't able to play with Dennis over in Dallas, were there any things that you learned just from the sheer fact of you're playing against these teams, some of which you're going to be playing here?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I learned a lot, you know, working with these guys as a coach, but as a player, it's a lot of different. You can see a lot of like flaws we have in game. Also, like some teams, some things that for me as a coach is like, why aren't we doing that? As a player is like, okay, that's why we're not doing it. So the experience that I got as a player is something that I can take with me and try to build for the future with the team. So all in all, I think the experience was good, yeah.
So maybe it can be a blessing in disguise as you come into today. You're going up against NRG first. They're the same as you guys, just coming off of Dallas. And based on what you saw over there, what are your thoughts going up against them today?
Oof, the tough 5 really good players. I think individually, I think they have maybe one of the best rosters in the world. I don't think maybe result-wise they haven't showed that, but I think like if they get the results with them, if they get the momentum with them, I think they can be a really good team. I don't expect this to be an easy game at all. I don't know who will win, but I think it will be a great match. I think it will be a lot of highlights. I think the fans watching the game, I think they will enjoy it. So I hope for a good game and may the best team win.
May the best team win indeed. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And we are going to head to a short commercial break. But when we come back, it'll be NIP going up against NRG.